Chapter 2152. Then, we'll secretly gather our people and form a team. That way, we'll let others help us find that kid's whereabouts. After we find him, we'll attack and snatch him. Alright, let's do that. The third prince nodded. Then they began to move. Firstly, they gathered everyone and returned to the third prince's side. Secondly, these mighty figures quickly spread the news. On the other side, the eighth prince and the others were waiting patiently outside the dark canyon. However, they were a little anxious because it was almost the appointed time, but the other party had yet to appear. Buzz! At that moment, a jade pendant on the eighth prince's waist floated up and released a mysterious talisman. The eighth prince opened his eyes and frowned. Is that a teleportation token? Could it be that they've encountered some danger and had no choice but to use the teleportation token? At the next moment, he said in a deep voice, "Everyone, prepare to receive them. Our people are coming out." The surrounding mighty figures also opened their eyes and stood up. Their auras surged as they prepared to receive them at any time. Boom! Crack! Soon, the void on their left cracked open and two figures appeared. As soon as the two figures appeared, two mighty figures walked up and protected them. At the same time, the other two mighty figures rushed out and stared at the void. Fortunately, no danger rushed out. Then, the Lord of the Underworld and Taoist Master Long regained their composure. However, everyone's expression was not good. Especially the eighth prince, who frowned. Where's Lin Xian? Why hasn't Lin Xian come out? Could it be that he's in danger? The others also looked over. Taoist Master Long said in a deep voice. He's indeed in danger, but it's not what you think. Soon, Taoist Master Long gave a rough account of what had happened inside. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air after hearing this. They were envious. On the other hand, the eighth prince frowned. You're saying that Lin Xian has obtained a rare treasure and left? The Golden Lion King, the third prince, and the others are chasing after him? That's indeed the case. Taoist Master Long sighed. No one would not be jealous of a rare treasure. Lin Xian had obtained it, and had to bear the consequences of being hunted down. However, it's up to you now, eighth prince. Do you want the treasure, or do you want Lin Xian to help you become the crown prince? Crown prince, of course. The eighth prince said in a deep voice. Then, with a serious expression, he gave the order. Just like that, all news of Lin Xian would be sealed. No one was allowed to leak any information about him. Find out where Lin Xian is and get in contact with him. We'll become enemies with the other princes. At that moment, a mighty figure, the eighth prince. After the eighth prince heard this, he sneered. Becoming enemies with the other princes? The crown prince, the overworld, overlook the overlook, over. The sovereign overs SSSS speak. The eighth prince said, everyone is our enemy in the crown prince competition. Our stance remains unchanged. We'll support Lin Xian. Let's go. Let's go. I suspect that the third prince will do something. We have to meet up with Lin Xian quickly. Let's send out a warning. Hunting down Lin Xian means becoming our enemy. Everyone took a deep breath after hearing this. It seems like the eighth prince is going to protect Lin Xian with all his strength. That's right, Lin Xian is too important to the eighth prince, whether it's in the first round or in the second round. Lin Xian has provided great help for the eighth prince to become the crown prince. Now, it's reasonable for the eighth prince to protect Lin Xian. This also made everyone feel a lot more at ease, because this matter showed that the eighth prince was not a person who coveted treasures, but a prince who was worthy of trust. Soon, the eighth prince's side started to move. The elders in the Grand Imperial Hall looked at the screen with complicated expressions. The eighth prince has chosen to support Lin Xian. The third prince had started to spread the news and contact the other princes. The first prince had also started to move. I have to say, the first prince's intelligence network is really developed. He got the news so quickly. I wonder what will happen in the end. I think it will be more intense than the usual crown prince competition. After all, the overworld treasure has lit a fire in the crown prince competition. The elders were discussing. Sure enough, under the third prince's great efforts, the news spread quickly. When the other princes, elites, and young geniuses found out that Lin Xian had obtained an earth-shattering overworld treasure, they were all shocked. What? An overworld treasure? An overworld treasure that surpasses the Earth rank, or even a peak Earth rank treasure, would break in front of him. Rumor has it that it might be a heavenly ranked treasure. Did such a thing really appear? And it was obtained by a junior? The eyes of the older generation's almighties turned red, as if they were injected with chicken blood. The eyes of the other princes were even more fiery. If the description was true, then it was definitely a heaven-defying treasure. After obtaining it, their strength would undergo a tremendous change. Therefore, they started to move. Hurry up and find that Lin Xian. We can't let him go. We must get the treasure. If we can't, kill him. Hurry up, let's get the treasure first. One order after another was passed down. The princes, elite almighties, and peerless geniuses were all on the move, searching for Lin Xian all over the world. When the third prince saw this, his lips curled up into a cold smile. Humph, despicable brat. How dare you snatch the treasure in front of Ben Wang? Let's see how you die now. On the other side, the first prince's side was moving quickly. I heard that the Golden Lion King is already chasing that brat. That brat won't be able to escape. Let's go too. That Lin Xian is a genius of the 8th prince. If Tian can kill him, the 8th prince will definitely go crazy. Let's see how he can compete with me for the crown prince position. The first prince sneered. When the 8th prince heard the news, his face darkened. Damn it, the news actually spread out so quickly. Someone must be adding fuel to the fire. Needless to say, it must be the third prince. The Golden Lion King doesn't need to do that. The Lord of the Underworld snorted. It's better to hurry up and find Lin Xian. It's dangerous for him to be surrounded by others. On the 8th prince's side, he led his men to move quickly. On the other side, Lin Xian and the Golden Lion King started their pursuit. However, Lin Xian still had the profound jade platform. Therefore, he teleported again, causing the Golden Lion King to lose its target. Ah! Damn brat, don't let me catch you. Otherwise, I'll tear you into pieces. The Golden Lion King was furious. His voice shattered another dozen or so mountain peaks in the surroundings. However, a few figures soared into the sky from one of the mountains. Damn it, who is it? Who dares to disturb me while I'm snatching the treasure? Chapter 2153. From one of the mountain peaks, a few silhouettes soared into the sky. Damn it, who is it? How dare you disturb me when I'm trying to snatch the treasure? There were 3 silhouettes, 2 men and 1 woman. All of them were middle-aged, and their faces were extremely cold. They were the subordinates of the 12th prince. Originally, they found a spiritual herb in the valley below, and were about to snatch it. However, they did not expect that the surrounding mountain peaks would explode, and even the spiritual herb would be blown to pieces. This made them extremely angry. Therefore, they soared into the sky, wanting to see who dared to provoke them. However, when they saw the figure, their faces turned green. Damn it, it's actually the Golden Lion King. Not good, run! They had heard of how terrifying the Golden Lion King was. They probably would not be able to defeat it. Therefore, they could only turn around and run. Humph! The Golden Lion King coldly snorted. He waved his hand, and suddenly, 3 sharp rays of light shot out, turning into divine spears that reached the heavens and chased after them. Puff! 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 3 golden divine spears pierced through the void, and then pierced through the bodies of the 3 kings, nailing them to the sky. Then, the golden divine spears exploded, and the bodies of the 3 kings also exploded, turning into a bloody mist. The Golden Lion King turned around, tore through the void, and left this place. On the other side, Lin Xian also slowed down. He spread out his soul power to check the surroundings. He found that the Golden Lion King was no longer around. It seemed that he had gotten rid of the other party. This made him sigh in relief. Next, he descended and took out a few pills to consume to recover his inner strength. At the same time, he quickly thought about what to do next. There's someone there. That kid? Isn't that Lin Xian? It's really him. In the distant sky, 3 silhouettes flew over quickly. They were an old man and 2 young men. They looked down at Lin Xian with ecstasy. Haha, it's that kid! The heavens are helping me. The old man also laughed sinisterly. Kid, hand over the treasure in your hands, and I can spare your life. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. At the end of his words, the old man emitted a terrifying aura that shattered the surrounding heaven and earth. You guys know? Hearing this, Lin Xian frowned. How did they know? Kid, don't hide it. Who doesn't know that you have a treasure in your hands? One of the young men also sneered. However, you're not fated to obtain a rare treasure. There are too many people here who are stronger than you. Those princes, elites, and seniors, which one of them isn't an expert? What ability do you have that you want to monopolize this rare treasure of heaven and earth? Hand it over obediently, and I can spare your life. Otherwise, it will be the day of your death. Cold shouts could be heard. Lin Xian's face darkened when he heard that. It seemed that the news had already spread, and the speed at which it spread was even faster than he had imagined. But why did it turn out like this? He had just come out, so logically speaking, these people should not have known. Lin Xian's face darkened. King 2. SN to 2. T. And it. Maybe it's the third prince's doing in the dark. Thinking of this, Lin Xian's eyes flashed with killing intent. How dare he spread the news and get everyone to attack him? This third prince really deserves to die. It seemed like he was in big trouble. Everyone was looking for him. What was the 8th prince's attitude? Lin Xian shook his head. He couldn't put all his hopes on the 8th prince. He had to think of a way himself. The 3 people above saw Lin Xian's eyes flickering, but they ignored him. They were furious. How dare he ignore them? Unforgivable. Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. One of the young men snorted and slashed down with the green sword in his hand. The sword she was like a rainbow. It turned into a 1,000-meter-long sword light and enveloped Lin Xian. Humph! Lin Xian came back to his senses. He snorted and punched out. The black fist instantly shattered the 1,000-meter-long sword chi. Then, he said coldly, "Get lost. Don't kill more people than me. Kid, I admit that you're strong. You're almost invincible among the younger generation. However, we're not fighting one-on-one. If we work together, we might be able to defeat you." The young man laughed coldly. "Moreover, we have Senior Huangfeng with us. Do you think you can escape?" The young man sneered. He was very arrogant. Indeed, in his opinion, it shouldn't be difficult for such a team to crush Lin Xian. "You're courting death." Lin Xian snorted. Since the other party wanted to die, he wouldn't be lenient. In the sky, the 2 young men smiled. "Senior Huangfeng, please help us. We'll go down and capture this kid." The old man nodded. He stood with his hands behind his back. His expression was very cold. He was an elite almighty while the other party was only a 6-star king. In his opinion, although this person was a peerless genius, he wouldn't be able to withstand one of his attacks. "Kid, kneel down and accept your death." The 2 young men stepped forward. One of them held a long sword while the other held a battle saber. Their auras were like thunder, and their black hair danced wildly. "Kill!" The 2 of them turned into lightning and rushed down quickly. In an instant, they arrived beside Lin Xian and slashed mercilessly with their swords and sabers. Buzz buzz! However, Lin Xian stretched out his palms and grabbed in front of him. In the next moment, he grabbed the 2 young men's weapons. "You want to fight us barehanded? You're courting death." The 2 young men sneered. Lin Xian was too arrogant. They would let Lin Xian know the price of underestimating them. Boom! However, in the next moment, they were stunned. There was even a strong sense of fear in their eyes. That was because the treasured sabers and swords in their hands were instantly crushed into countless pieces by Lin Xian. What? How is that possible? Damn it, how did he do it? The two young prodigies were extremely shocked, and their faces were filled with fear. How could Lin Xian be so powerful? He could even crush their treasured weapons with his bare hands? No one answered them. Lin Xian's palm was wrapped in a dragon-shaped sword chi. Then, he held the broken sword and saber and slashed in front of him. Poof, poof, poof. Two heads flew up, and then two corpses fell to the ground, staining the ground red with blood. They were killed! After seeing this, the elite mighty figure's pupils constricted, and his face was filled with shock. Lin Xian's method was too powerful. Although he could do it too, he was an elite mighty figure. Lin Xian was a 6-star king. How could he be so powerful? Those two pieces of trash actually need me to deal with them personally. The elder snorted. In his opinion, the two young men were too weak. That was why Lin Xian had to kill them. Kid, don't think that you can be so arrogant just because you killed two people. You're still not strong enough in front of me. The elite mighty figure snorted coldly, then stretched out his palm and grabbed in front of him. I'll write crazily all night, and continue during the day. Brothers, please support me. Recommend me. Monthly votes. Subscribe. Collection. Reward me. Please support me. Chapter 2154. His move was extremely arrogant. It was as if he was pinching an ant instead of Lin Xian. Humph! Lin Xian sneered and drew his demonic sword. His body turned into a sharp sword light and slashed out. Buzz! What a powerful sword chi! The elite powerhouse's expression changed. Damn it, how could he be so powerful? The sword chi was too sharp. It made him feel as if he was on the verge of death. He wanted to stop the next moment, but it was too late. Pfft! The sword light flashed and instantly pierced through his hand. Blood flowed wildly as his bones shattered. The elite powerhouse screamed. However, what shocked him even more was yet to come. The sword light did not weaken. Instead, it became stronger and stronger. Then, it suddenly exploded. Boom! The terrifying sword chi instantly swallowed his entire right arm. Then, his right arm left his body and flew into the sky. The powerhouse turned around and ran. Life was better than any treasure. You want to run? Lin Xian sneered. The sword in his hand exploded again, and streaks of chaotic sword chi quickly shot out. The powerhouse did not dare to take it head-on. He quickly threw out two shields. At the same time, a blue pagoda appeared above his head and enveloped his body. He could only passively defend. He only wanted to escape as soon as possible. Boom! 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 However, Lin Xian's chaotic sword chi was a heaven-grade cultivation technique. It was extremely terrifying. In an instant, the backs of the two shields were cut open, and the blue pagoda above his head was sent flying. All of the elder's defensive methods were broken. Seeing this scene, the elder's scalp went numb. He was scared out of his wits. He had never seen such a technique before. He knew that he had been careless this time. He had kicked an iron plate. The young man in front of him could not be measured by common sense. He was definitely a terrifying figure. Boom! At this moment, countless blood-colored sword runes appeared under Lin Xian's feet. Then, a black primordial shadow rushed out and turned into a huge black crocodile. Roar! The black crocodile charged forward with its bloody mouth open. In an instant, it swallowed the powerhouse. Boom! Boom! Dazzling light swept through heaven and earth. This breath could swallow mountains and rivers. Nothing could stop it. Sure enough, that supreme being screamed miserably. His body was cut in half and fell from the sky. Lin Xian waved his hand and took the man's storage ring. Then, he shot out a black hellfire and burned the corpse. After doing all this, he snorted coldly and turned around to leave. However, the battle was not over yet. In the next half a day, Lin Xian encountered two more attacks. Lin Xian didn't show any mercy either. Anyone who dared to attack him was mercilessly killed by him. When the other princes learned of this situation, their faces turned gloomy. That was because these geniuses and almighties were the elites under their command. Yet they had all been killed. How could they tolerate this? For a moment, the princes quickly joined hands and prepared to capture the other party. This was because they had also discovered that the other party was simply too powerful. Even though he was alone, he still had such combat strength. The 6th prince, the 7th prince, the 10th prince, and the 12th prince joined forces. The almighties and geniuses under their command also joined forces and formed powerful teams to surround and kill the other party. Among them, when a 3-man team found Lin Xian was cultivating. He was recovering his lost stamina, but when he saw another group of people coming, he suddenly opened his eyes. There was a monstrous light in his eyes. Humph! With a cold snort, Lin Xian decisively made his move. His black fist was like a mountain that shot into the sky. It instantly blew up a young prodigy. Boom! Blood splattered everywhere, and the void shattered. The remaining 2 people felt their scalps go numb when they saw this scene. They fled in 2 different directions. Their eyes were filled with fear. At the same time, they roared into the sky and let out sharp booms. Come over, that kid is here! They had used all their power to create sound waves, so everyone within a 10,000-mile radius could hear them. It even spread further. Boom! 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 In an instant, a few terrifying auras lit up in the distance. They turned into streams of light and quickly charged over. Another 3-man team flew over quickly. Obviously, they were the closest to this place. These 3 people joined up with the previous 2. There were a total of 5 people. 2 almighties and 3 young geniuses. They were like killing gods as they stared at Lin Xian. Kid, you're very arrogant. How dare you kill our people? Today is the day you die. Kneel down obediently and accept your death, and we'll let you live. Otherwise, you'll die a horrible death. The few of them stared at Lin Xian coldly like wild beasts. Because the 5 of them were confident that they could destroy everything when they joined forces. No matter how strong the other party was, it was impossible for him to fight against them. You want to take me down with just the 5 of you? Lin Xian sneered. Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. As he said that, he took a step forward, and the entire world trembled. Seeing that the other party still dared to attack, the 5 of them were furious. They quickly attacked at the same time. Streams of light pierced through the void and blasted the nearby mountain peaks. Whoosh! Lin Xian used the Heavenly Dragon's 8 steps. His speed was extremely fast, and he dodged in an instant. At the same time, he took out a few formations from the black earth and quickly set them up. These formations were all created by the Crimson Dragon. The materials used were the treasures that Lin Xian had obtained over the past few days. The other almighties had also borrowed the materials inside. They were very powerful. Even if an almighty was trapped, it would probably take some effort. At this moment, Lin Xian set up 2 formations and immediately separated the 5 of them. Among them, a red-clothed almighty and a young woman were trapped together, while the other almighty was trapped alone. The remaining middle-aged man and a young man were still in the air. However, their expressions immediately became extremely ugly. Damn it! How could the other party have such a powerful formation? They realized that the 2 almighties were unable to rush out for a while, which shocked them. In the next moment, they felt Lin Xian's terrifying gaze and trembled. They were no match for Lin Xian at all. The reason why they dared to attack was because the 5 of them together formed a terrifying chain attack. But now, the 2 of them were not enough. After all, they knew that Lin Xian had already killed many almighties and geniuses. You want to kill me? Snatch the treasures? With just you? Lin Xian sneered and attacked decisively. Brother Lin, this is a misunderstanding. Listen to me. The middle-aged man hurriedly explained. However, it was useless. Lin Xian did not give them any chance. He had already made up his mind to kill anyone who dared to come and kill him. He would not let anyone go. Boom! Lin Xian attacked decisively. The chaotic sword she slashed out and instantly sent the middle-aged man flying. As for the young king, he was also split apart by the sword. It was too terrifying. Under Lin Xian's terrifying killing intent, the chaotic Heaven Destroyer sword finally displayed the strength of a heaven-grade cultivation technique. Chapter 2155. In just one exchange, a young genius was killed. The middle-aged man spat out a mouthful of blood as cracks appeared on his armor. Then, it shattered into pieces and exploded. Instantly, the middle-aged man gasped. The armor had saved his life previously. But now, he was afraid that he would not be able to block the second attack. Damn it! Go to hell! The middle-aged man roared. He knew that it was impossible for him to escape. He could only fight with his life on the line to have a chance of survival. He knew that no matter how powerful the array was, it would not be able to trap the two mighty figures for too long. He only needed to wait for the two mighty figures to come out and he would be safe. So in the next moment, he pulled out a red spear and rushed over. Boom! Boom! As the spear pierced out, the entire void was pierced through. A terrifying energy storm swept out towards Lin Xian. Slash! Lin Xian swung his sword. Chaotic sword chi fell and shattered all 300 rays of light. At the same time, he threw out a punch. The terrifying fist turned into a black dragon and rushed out. The black dragon was formed by hellfire. It carried a terrifying flame aura and instantly swallowed the middle-aged man. Ah! The middle-aged man roared crazily. His body began to burn with black flames. He wanted to extinguish the flames like crazy, but he could not do so. Whoosh! 3 seconds later, he was burned to ashes. The entire process seemed slow, but it only took 5 seconds. The two mighty figures who were attacking the array saw this scene and felt a chill in their hearts. Buzz! Lin Xian waved his hand and the array around one of the trapped mighty figures disappeared. However, the array was controlled by him and placed on another mighty figure and a young woman. Damn it! The two of them saw this scene and their faces darkened. The reason for that was because they'd already caused cracks to appear in the surrounding spirit formations. Yet now, another spirit formation had been added. This made it extremely difficult for them to escape. Next, it's you! Lin Xian smirked as he looked at the elite mighty figure that he had just released. Courting death. Kid, you're too arrogant. Seeing that the other party was going to attack him, the elite mighty figure was furious. Boom! In the next moment, the Almighty opened his mouth and spat out a blue giant hammer. It was surrounded by terrifying lightning. Then, the hammer descended. The heavens fell and the earth cracked. The terrifying power of thunder and lightning instantly smashed towards Lin Xian. Boom! Lin Xian slashed out with his sword, and a 1,000-meter-long sword she transformed into an ancient phantom. Its huge body slammed into the blue hammer with a heaven-shaking boom. Boom! In the end, the blue hammer's terrifying sword chi phantom directly unfolded. Terrifying sword waves spread out in all directions like ocean waves. The surrounding dozens of mountains were flattened in an instant. Damn it, why is his sword chi so powerful? That elite expert's expression changed. Although he knew that the other party was very strong, he found that the other party's strength was a little surprising after the real fight. 1. Thinking of this, he snorted coldly and summoned his king's domain, which circled around him. At the same time, he pulled out a treasured sword. Vermilion Bird Sword of the North Pole. He slashed out with his sword, and a monstrous sword light transformed into a gigantic vermilion bird, which rapidly swooped down. You want to compete with me in swordsmanship? You're really courting death. Demon Slaying Sword Array, break for me! The blood-red sword array quickly surged out, and then the ancient phantom appeared in the sky, fighting with the vermilion bird. In less than 3 moves, the vermilion bird was torn apart, turning into countless flames that scattered in all directions. The surrounding forest was set ablaze. As for the ancient silhouette, it let out a roar and charged over. Damn it! Vermilion Bird 3 Techniques. That elite expert's pupils constricted, and he once again unleashed his terrifying sword technique, using 3 ultimate moves. Fire God Roar. Lin Xian didn't want to tangle with him at all, and he directly launched a powerful attack. Hellfire spread, and the Fire God sword slashed down wildly. With one slash, the world was killed. The elder was wrapped in hellfire, and his body was cut in half by the sword. Next, it's your turn. Lin Xian's body was full of killing intent, and he was like a god of death. He turned his gaze and looked at the last 2 people. With a wave of his hand, he retrieved the 2 arrays. One of them had been destroyed, but the second array could still be used. He recalled it to the Black Earth and let the Crimson Dragon repair it with materials so that it could be used again in the future. After the 2 kings lost the array, they turned and fled. Although one of them was an elite expert, and the other was a young genius, they didn't dare to face Lin Xian at all. Buzz! 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 The 2 of them fled crazily. Especially the young woman, who spat out 3 mouthfuls of blood essence. A bloody mist enveloped her body, and then she turned into a blood-red bolt of lightning, instantly streaking across the void. The elder also roared, and 2 wind wings appeared on his back. With a flap of his wings, he turned into a tornado and fled quickly. Facing Lin Xian, the 2 of them didn't dare to fight. Instead, they turned and fled. You want to leave? Lin Xian used the demigods and semi-devils and quickly chased after them. At the same time, his long sword slashed through the air. 5 bolts of lightning struck. Boom! 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 Countless bolts of lightning struck the void and chased after the 2 in front. The 2 of them felt their scalps go numb. They raised their hands and attacked one after another to block the power of lightning. However, they didn't dare to take it head-on. The 5 bolts of lightning still affected them to a certain extent. At this moment, Lin Xian raised his hand again and struck out with his palm. 10,000 miles Ice Seal. The icy aura quickly spread, and the surrounding space quickly froze, forming a world of ice and frost. The 2 warriors in front were also affected by the icy aura. Their speed slowed down, and frost even formed on their bodies as if they were about to freeze. Damn it! Their expressions changed. The icy aura on their bodies became thicker and thicker, making it impossible for them to escape. Boom! However, at this critical moment, 3 violent energy fluctuations suddenly came from afar. Then, 3 rainbows quickly rushed over. Great! The reinforcements are here! Seeing this scene, the 2 of them exclaimed in surprise. They were too happy. They didn't expect that reinforcements would come at the moment of certain death. To them, this was simply the best news as far as they were concerned. Therefore, in the next moment, the 2 of them turned to look at Lin Xian with a ferocious expression. Brat, so what if you're strong? Do you think you can fight against the 5 of us? We already know that you have an array. As long as you dodge carefully this time, you won't be trapped by the array. Buzz. However, Lin Xian didn't say anything. Instead, golden runes flashed in his eyes. Floating light. Lin Xian immediately activated his heavenly secret god eyes. Anyway, the 2 of them wouldn't reveal his secret. Buzz. Indeed, in the next moment, the 2 of them were hit by the soul attack, and their eyes became dull. The spiritual aura on their bodies also weakened in an instant. Obviously, the 2 of them were hit by the soul attack and couldn't fight back. They didn't even have the ability to protect themselves. La la la, time to get up and vote. Recommend, monthly vote, subscribe, bookmark, tip. Give them all to me. Chapter 2156. Frost Spike. Lin Xian formed a seal with his palm and used the power of frost. Immediately, the blood in their bodies froze and turned into sharp arrows that shot out quickly. Bang! 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 Their bodies were pierced and their internal organs were completely shattered. They fell from the sky. What? They were killed! Seeing this scene, the 3 people who were watching from afar were also stunned. They stopped abruptly, their faces filled with terror. What was going on? In just 2 seconds, the other party was killed? What kind of technique was that? That was an elite almighty and a young heaven's chosen. Run! The 3 people in the distance did not dare to continue fighting and turned to flee. Boom! They came quickly and fled even faster. Lin Xian did not chase after them. This time, the golden runes in his eyes shone brighter and brighter. They could pierce through the void. Then ice spread on his right hand and formed an ice longbow. He pulled the bowstring with his left hand and an ice arrow quickly appeared. In the next moment, the corners of his mouth curled into a sneer. That was because he had already locked onto a target through the heavenly secret divine eyes. The power of the great dragon sword soul was injected into the ice sword and it was extremely sharp. Whoosh! In the next moment, the ice arrow flew out from Lin Xian's hand and tore through the void like a silver lightning bolt. The 3 people in front of him fled quickly. However, at that moment, the body of a young man was suddenly pierced through by an ice arrow. Then, the power of frost and the sword chi of the great dragon sword soul quickly spread and blasted him into a bloody mist. He turned into countless ice cubes and scattered on the ground. What? He was killed! The 2 martial artists next to him were about to go crazy when they saw this scene. How far was the distance between them? How could the other party have been killed? How did that kid do it? In the next moment, they turned their heads and found that the other party was not chasing after them. That made them even more shocked. Damn it, it was the Bao. An old man's face was extremely ugly. What, the Bao? How could he have such a terrifying penetrative power? God knows how he did it, but they had to quickly put up their strongest defense. The 2 of them did not dare to be careless, and quickly put up their defenses. However, as soon as they put up their defenses, another ice arrow flew quickly toward them. Clang! The old man was sent flying. Fortunately, he was already wearing a suit of armor. However, the huge force still sent him flying. The void shattered, and the mountains collapsed. Countless pieces of ice formed on his body, and even the armor on his body began to crack. This arrow contained the power of the great dragon sword soul and was extremely sharp. Puff! The old man spat out large mouthfuls of blood. He was seriously injured. The armor on his body was also about to be scrapped because it was covered with cracks. 1. At this moment, the second arrow came, which made his scalp tingle. Pun! The old man wanted to escape, but this arrow was extremely accurate. It hit the exact same spot as the previous arrow. Therefore, the armor that was already cracked shattered with a loud bang. His body was pierced through by a sword and nailed to the ground. Before the blood could flow out, it was frozen. The remaining mighty being swallowed his saliva. This method was heaven-defying. This was too terrifying, and he didn't dare to continue fighting. He immediately unleashed 3 layers of defense, and unleashed his king's domain, as well as a large bell. With 5 layers of defense on his body, he quickly escaped. Moreover, his speed had reached its fastest speed. He even burned the spiritual power in his body to escape. Along the way, he also encountered other King Realm mighty beings. Those people were puzzled when they saw this scene. What was going on? Was someone chasing after him? Or had he encountered a terrifying demon king? Boom! In the next moment, the King Realm mighty beings along the way were stunned because they saw a blue arrow flying over from the distant horizon. It directly collided with the mighty being's body and exploded. Pun! The mighty being was sent flying and spat out large mouthfuls of blood. 2 layers of defense on his body were instantly broken. Damn it! He took out a handful of pills and swallowed them. Then, he absorbed the spiritual power around him and escaped at an even faster speed. Seeing this scene, the surrounding people sucked in a breath of cold air. Just who was this person? Wasn't that too terrifying? They looked around and even used their soul power, but they did not find anyone. However, where did that arrow come from? From an extremely far place? But how did he do that? They did not dare to imagine. That was because they had to hide their auras. Ordinary mighty beings would not be able to detect them. However, the other party had accurately hit them. Boom! 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 However, just as they were feeling puzzled, countless streams of light appeared in the distance. Then, they turned into ice arrows and quickly pierced toward them. What? Those people's faces immediately turned green. Damn, why are we being attacked too? In the next moment, those people started to defend themselves. However, a few of them who were too slow were directly pierced by the arrows and nailed to the ground. Seeing that scene, everyone went crazy. They ran for their lives, cursing at the same time. F***CK! Who dares to attack us? Damn it, we didn't do anything. Why are they attacking us? Those people were really crazy. The mighty being who was running in front shouted in a low voice. Hurry up and run. The one who attacked us is Lin Xian. What? Are you talking about that Lin Xian who obtained the rare treasure? These people were extremely shocked and sucked in a breath of cold air. At the same time, they also knew why the other party attacked them. That was because they were also chasing after the other party. They did not expect that they would be hunted down by the other party before they could even see his face. Boom! 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 The ice arrows that filled the sky were even more terrifying. In the end, there were not only ice arrows, but also flame arrows, lightning arrows, and wind arrows. All kinds of terrifying arrow rains swept over like a wave. There were so many of them that they had nowhere to go. They were like stray dogs that had lost their homes as they quickly fled. During that period, those who were weaker were directly pierced by countless arrows. There was no way for them to survive. The mighty beings roared crazily. Damn it, how is that possible? How can he be so powerful? I don't believe it. We're already 50,000 miles away. How can he lock onto us? His soul power can't be that powerful. Damn brat, don't let us catch you, or we'll tear you into pieces. Ah. Could it be because of that rare treasure? When someone asked that question, the others came to a realization. Yes, it must be the rare treasure. Although they did not know what the rare treasure was, it was definitely the effect of the rare treasure. Otherwise, how could a 6-star king be so powerful? Let's go back and inform the prince to send more people. We'll join forces to kill him. Those people had all gone crazy. They were full of desire for the rare treasure. That was because if a 6-star king could become so powerful, they would be heaven-defying if they could obtain it. Chapter 2157. At that time, he might even be able to kill a peerless almighty. Thinking of this, they sped up and ran away crazily. And this news swept across like a gust of wind. In an instant, all the princes and almighties knew about it. They were silent because from the description, Lin Xian was too heaven-defying. Even ordinary elite almighties were no match for him. Only special elite almighties or pinnacle almighties could stand a chance against them. The 8th prince also received the news. When they knew that Lin Xian was not in danger for the time being, they heaved a sigh of relief. However, when they heard about Lin Xian's heaven-defying battle record, their scalps went numb. It was too terrifying. On the other side, the Golden Lion King let out a furious roar, shattering mountains and rivers as it charged towards Lin Xian. As for the 3rd prince and the 1st prince, they gathered all their forces and prepared to attack. Dark Night King, it's up to you. The 3rd prince looked at an old man in a black robe and said in a deep voice. Don't worry, 3rd prince, I'll bring that kid's head to you. The old man in a black robe merged into the void and disappeared. On the other side, the 1st prince looked at the young man and woman in front of him and said in a deep voice. The two of you make your move. Remember, you must bring back the heavenly treasure. Hee, it's been a long time since I met such an interesting young man. I heard that he also has ice and fire attributes, but I don't know how he compares to us 2 siblings. The young man and woman sneered. Although they looked like they were in their 20s or 30s, their real age was more than 1,000 years old. They were not young geniuses, but 2 elite almighties. Moreover, they were the most terrifying elite almighties because they had the power of bloodline. After receiving the order, the 2 of them moved and left quickly. On the other side, Lin Xian chased away a group of pursuers. Then, he found a mountain range and set up a few formations. He was ready to go into seclusion. This was because he was going to use the dark crocodile's demonic blood to temper his body. At the same time, he was going to use some of the pills he got from the dark canyon. In short, he wanted to improve himself in all aspects. He knew that the upcoming battle would be even more intense and terrifying. Taking out a red pill, Lin Xian swallowed it in one gulp and began to refine it. At the same time, he directly entered the black earth. Inside, there was a crimson array set up by the Crimson Dragon specifically for Lin Xian to refine demon blood. Lin Xian sat down cross-legged and took out some demon blood to refine his body. Needless to say, as an ancient demonic beast, the dark crocodile's blood contained a terrifying amount of energy. After Lin Xian used it, the muscles on his body instantly turned red, as if they were being burned by endless flames. He knew that this was the power of that powerful bloodline. Lin Xian was extremely shocked. One could imagine how terrifying the dark crocodile was. Fortunately, he had only encountered a young crocodile. If he had encountered an adult crocodile, perhaps even a peerless powerhouse would not have been able to defeat it. In fact, it was still unknown whether an invincible king could be subdued. Everything was progressing quickly. 2 days later, the peace was broken. An earth-shattering sound came from outside, accompanied by a terrifying energy vibration. In the black earth, Lin Xian opened his eyes and asked, "Black Earth, what's going on? Someone is here. Kid, do you want to make a move?" Just then, Lin Xian stood up. He had just consumed some pills and refined some demon blood. It was a good time to test its power. With that, Lin Xian took a step forward and left the black earth. Outside, more than 10 mountains were still cracked, and the ground was even more cracked. It seemed that they had suffered a fierce attack. Su Chun raised his head and looked into the distance. There stood an old man. The old man's face was pale, but his eyes were extremely sharp. On his black robe, there were star-like spots of light. "You're Lin Xian?" The old man looked ahead and asked coldly. "That's right, I am. Who are you? Tell me your name. I won't kill nameless people." "Kid, you're really arrogant," the old man snorted coldly. "Listen carefully, I'm the Dark Night King. I'm the top expert that the third prince invited. The treasure originally belonged to the third prince. Now, hand it over obediently." "The third prince again?" Lin Xian frowned. "Why? He doesn't dare to come himself, so he sent his underlings? But he really doesn't learn his lesson. Only you? Is he sending you to your death? I advise you to hurry up and go back. Call a few more people. Otherwise, you're no match for me alone. Kid, you're really arrogant." Hearing that, the Dark Night King's face darkened, and a sharp light appeared in his eyes. "You'll pay for your ignorance soon." The Dark Night King snorted coldly, then rushed up from his body. A black light screen instantly covered 1,000 miles. Boom, boom, boom. The sky darkened in an instant. Originally it was still daytime, but now, it was incomparably dark. One couldn't even see their own fingers. The Dark Night King's figure also disappeared. Only a voice could be heard. "Humph, you've entered my Dark Night realm. Prepare to die." "Dark Night realm?" Lin Xian frowned. What a strange king's realm. No wonder the old man dared to come alone. The Dark Night King's realm was very special. This was also the reason why the third prince had sent him. Once this realm appeared, the sky darkened, and nothing could be seen. Even the soul power of a king was affected, and it was difficult to see clearly. In such a realm, one could only passively take a beating. Those with stronger defense would be fine, but those with weaker defense would not even know how they died. It could be said that the Dark Night King was extremely terrifying. His soul was also suppressed. Lin Xian tested it, and found that it was indeed similar to the Dark Canyon. His soul power was also suppressed. He couldn't probe too much. In that case, it would be difficult to find his opponent. Interesting. Lin Xian's lips curled up. At this moment, a cold voice sounded. Kid, don't try to be brave. In my Dark Knight realm, you can't use much strength. Don't even think about finding my traces. Now, feel the pain of death. Whoosh! A sinister voice sounded. At the same time, a terrifying black sword light pierced towards Lin Xian's feet. It was as if it was going to cut him in half. Whoosh! Lin Xian's figure flashed, and he quickly dodged. That sword light slashed towards the void, and then disappeared. Eh? He dodged it! Seeing that his attack missed, the Dark Knight King was surprised. This shouldn't be. How could his opponent dodge so many attacks? Kid, I have to say that you're very lucky to be able to dodge my attack. But you won't be so lucky next time. Around Lin Xian, darkness surged, forming 18 black giant axes, and mercilessly chopped down. Continue to ask for recommendation votes. Bookmark, monthly vote, subscribe, tip. Chapter 2158. Boom, boom, boom. However, this time, he missed again. Lin Xian's figure disappeared in an instant and reappeared in another direction. What? He dodged again. How could this be? The King of Darkness hid in the darkness and frowned when he saw this scene. How could his opponent be so lucky? Damn it, no wonder you can be so arrogant. I didn't expect you to be so lucky. However, this time, I'll make a move personally. Let's see if you can still dodge it. Whoosh! The King of Darkness charged forward silently. He was like a ghost, without a trace of aura, and without a trace of sound. In his Dark Knight domain, he was the King of Darkness who ruled over everything. Nothing could go against him. Therefore, in an instant, he appeared behind Lin Xian. He stretched out his hand, and countless black auras appeared. They were like ghost claws that silently grabbed at Lin Xian's back. If he was caught, he would probably die immediately. Buzz! However, his palm stopped when it was less than 5 centimeters away from Lin Xian. He could no longer move forward. How could this be? The King of Darkness finally couldn't help but scream. His face was full of fear and disbelief. Because he found that a hand had grabbed his palm, making it impossible for him to move forward. What? How could this be? The elder was stunned. How could the other party grab his palm? That meant that the other party had captured his tracks. But this shouldn't be the case. This was his king domain, and he was the king here. No one could capture his tracks. Only a peerless almighty would be able to do this. But was the other party a supreme powerhouse? The other party was only a 6-star king. How did he do it? Just as the Night Lord was lost in his thoughts, Lin Xian turned his head around. Boom! At the next moment, the King of Darkness was shocked. His pupils constricted as if he had seen a ghost. Because at this moment, there were golden Taoist patterns on Lin Xian's eyes. They looked very mysterious. What kind of eyes were those? The King of Darkness was stunned. He had never seen such golden eyes before. It was too terrifying. The power it carried made his heart tremble. It was as if it could pierce through him with a glance. However, he was clearly hiding within his own king's domain. Your darkness domain is useless against me, Lin Xian sneered. Then, he exerted force in his palm. Crack! Ah! In the next moment, the King of Darkness cried out in pain because his hand had been broken. Following this, countless traces of black aura flowed out of his body, and the darkness domain around him quickly moved forwards. Lin Xian sneered and let go of his hand. His figure appeared in another direction and dodged the attack. The King of the Dark Knight also took this opportunity to retreat. His face was pale, and cold sweat trickled down his forehead. The Dark Knight domain around him provided him with energy, allowing his broken arm to recover. However, he was extremely shocked in his heart. He had miscalculated. He had definitely miscalculated. His opponent had a pair of golden eyes that could see through his king's domain and clearly track his movements. This was something he had never imagined. His advantage was gone. Thinking of this, his face turned gloomy. However, as a terrifying elite almighty, he did not only have the advantage of hiding his tracks. Therefore, the King of Darkness did not escape. Instead, he chose to continue fighting. Kid, I admit that I have underestimated you. You are very powerful. But do you think that you can be arrogant just because of that? The King of Darkness snorted. My king's domain is not only useful for hiding my tracks. Whoosh! In the next moment, an extremely terrifying aura radiated from his body, and the king's domain around him trembled. Whoosh! The king of the underworld's body instantly disappeared. His speed was so fast that it was dazzling. Whoosh! In an instant, he was in front of Lin Xian. The long sword in his hand quickly stabbed out. Boom! Lin Xian also raised his sword and slashed out. The two swords collided violently. However, the King of Darkness did not take it head-on. He swayed and disappeared again. When he reappeared, he was on the other side of Lin Xian. Kid, speed is also my advantage. You can't keep up with my speed at all. The corners of his mouth curled up into a cold smile. Moreover, his speed was getting faster and faster. You want to compete with me in speed? Lin Xian sneered. He did not use the demigods and semidevils. Instead, a terrifying icy aura surged from his body. Boom! A wave of icy power spread out in all directions, covering a radius of 100 miles. Ice domain! You're an ice-type martial artist! The King of Darkness was shocked. He quickly retreated because his body was covered in frost. He had no choice. The icy aura froze his power and slowed his speed. You can actually restrain my speed! The King of Darkness's face darkened. He did not expect his opponent to be an Ice King. The icy aura had greatly interfered with his speed. However, you're dead meat if you want to compete with me in terms of King's domain. The King of Darkness sneered again. He was an elite almighty. He was very powerful. His King's domain could easily shatter his opponent's domain. Thinking of this, he activated his Dark Knight domain and blasted it towards Lin Xian's blue world of frost. Boom! Boom! The collision of the two's domains was extremely terrifying. Cracks appeared in the surrounding void one after another. Who told you that my domain is an ice domain? Lin Xian sneered disdainfully. Suddenly, a sharp light bloomed in his eyes. Immediately, the dragon sword's spirit domain appeared and turned into a shocking sword light, slashing forward. At the same time, a monstrous murderous aura spread out. He wasn't an ice-type martial artist. He had other domains. Seeing this scene, the King of Darkness was shocked. He was wrong. He was really wrong. He did not expect the young man in front of him to be so terrifying. With his strength, it could be said that he could easily kill an elite almighty. Because no one could resist his Dark Knight domain. But now, not only did this kid have a pair of golden eyes that could see through his tracks, but he also used ice to suppress his speed. Now, he had an extremely terrifying aura that he could not resist at all. Door of Darkness. At the critical moment, the King of Darkness roared. His Dark Knight domain began to tremble, forming two pitch-black doors in front of him. Boom! In the next moment, the Dragon Sword domain blasted on top of the King of Darkness, creating a shocking collision. Crack! However, the Door of Darkness only lasted for a short while before it shattered. What? He was actually so powerful. The King of Darkness's scalp went numb. He did not expect that the other party could even destroy his Door of Darkness. Damn it, I don't believe it! The King of Darkness roared ferociously. The black aura on his body became thicker and covered his body. At this moment, the King of Darkness was like an unparalleled demon king. Soul of Darkness. The Dark Knight King roared, and a vertical black demonic pattern appeared on his forehead. The moment the demonic mark appeared, it emitted a terrifying aura. It was like an eye that was extremely mysterious. The sky collapsed and shattered. It could not withstand it at all. Even Lin Xian felt a chill down his spine. The King of Darkness was indeed powerful. Chapter 2159. But in the next moment, he sneered and used his heavenly secret god eyes. Mysterious runes appeared in his eyes. They turned into mysterious runes. Buzz! A dark light shot out from the demonic runes on the King of Darkness's face and slashed forward. Soul ignition! Lin Xian's eyes were extremely cold. Countless mysterious runes started to spin in his right eye. Then, a ball of golden flames floated out from his eyes. Whoosh! Soon, the golden flame clashed with the black light and burned it to ashes. Not only that, the golden flame did not weaken and instantly engulfed the King of Darkness. Ah! 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 The King of Darkness screamed in agony. His entire body was twisted and he struggled in the air. But after a few seconds he stopped struggling. His eyes were empty as he fell to the ground. The dark night domain around him also disappeared in an instant. Boom! His body landed on the ground and created a deep pit. Cracks spread around him. Lin Xian slowly descended and came to the King of Darkness's side. He checked his opponent again and heaved a sigh of relief. The King of Darkness's soul power had been completely destroyed. There was no chance of him surviving. What a terrifying attack! Even Lin Xian was shocked. He could feel that the King of Darkness was an elite almighty, and he was extremely powerful. But even so, he could not stop the golden flame from burning. What was even more strange was that the King of Darkness was not injured at all. Only his soul was burned. What a terrifying heavenly secret god eyes! He was shocked. Such a soul attack was impossible to defend against. This was a move that came with the heavenly secret god eyes. Lin Xian realized that as his strength increased, the heavenly secret god eyes would automatically display various powerful moves. This mysterious eye shocked Lin Xian. Even He Tu and the Crimson Dragon could not understand it. However, although this move was powerful, it consumed more than half of Lin Xian's soul power. It could be said that with Lin Xian's current strength, he could only use it 2 or 3 times. But 2 or 3 times was enough. After all, this was a terrifying killing move. Lin Xian used it as a trump card. He waved his hand and took the King of Darkness's storage ring. Then, he turned around and left. His soul power had been greatly consumed. He needed to rest and recover to his peak in order to fight the next battle. But luckily, Lin Xian had many treasures. So, he prepared some elixirs that were used to recover soul power. Half a day later, his soul power had recovered. Phew! Lin Xian let out a breath and he stood. Now, as long as he was not surrounded by dozens of lords. But there were still threats. The Golden Lion King was the biggest threat to him. Other than that, it was the third prince and the first prince. There had been no movement from the first prince's side, but the third prince had tried to kill him time and time again. He had even released the news, asking the whole world to attack him. Killing intent rose in Lin Xian's heart. He decided to kill the third prince. However, before Lin Xian could make a move, 2 more figures flew towards him. They were very arrogant. They did not hide at all. They released their powerful auras and rushed over. They were 2 experts. Only experts would dare to be so powerful and confident. "Young man, are you Lin Xian?" At that moment, a flirtatious voice was heard, and the 2 figures from afar came before Lin Xian. The one who spoke was a beautiful woman. She was in her 20s. Her clothes fluttered in the wind. Her movements were light. But there was a faint icy blue in her eyes. But her tone did not sound like a young man. Instead, she sounded like a god. On the other side, there was a handsome man in a blue robe. He looked young, but his eyes were filled with vicissitudes. "Kid, I'll give you a chance. Hand over the treasure. Otherwise, die." "Here they come again." Lin Xian's lips curled up. He knew it. It was impossible for the King of Darkness to come alone. He looked at the 2 in front of him and asked, "Tell me your names. Which prince sent you here?" "We are the first prince's men." The first prince was destined to be the crown prince. In the future, he would be the ruler of Tai Emperor's court. It was unwise to make an enemy of such a person. How about this? Hand over the treasure obediently, and come back with us. Perhaps the first prince will spare your life. It is not impossible for him to put you in an important position. The first prince's men. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. As expected, the first prince could not wait to make a move. You want my treasure? Sure. Let's see if you have the ability. Lin Xian's body surged with hundreds of sword qi and circled in the air. You dare to attack us? You must be tired of living. The Spirit Fire King snorted. Kid, I heard that you have the power of ice and fire. Coincidentally, my sister and I also have the power of ice and fire. Let's see if you have the capital to be arrogant, or not. On the other side, the beautiful woman, King Tianshuang, laughed coldly. Ice and fire? Lin Xian was surprised. He looked at the two people in front of him again. These two people have the power of ice and fire. What kind of special means do they have? They must be extraordinary. Because ordinary ice and fire elements could not compete with him. His ice and fire came from the legendary Cerberus of Hell. Sister, why are you talking nonsense with him? Just kill him. Then, he brought his heavenly treasure and head to see the first prince. The Spirit Fire King's expression was cold. His eyes were filled with killing intent. In the next moment, a pair of flaming wings appeared on his back. He charged toward Lin Xian with a fiery aura. In the blink of an eye, he was beside Lin Xian. He reached out a hand. This hand was powerful and covered with flames. It was like the hand of the god of fire. Humph! Lin Xian snorted and waved his fist. Hellfire rushed out and covered his fist. Boom! The two collided. Two types of flames surged in the air. The terrifying energy lit up the entire sky. Whoosh! 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 The sky was filled with flames. The red and black flames collided in the air. They were evenly matched. The Spirit Fire King frowned. He was surprised that Lin Xian's flames could compete with his. In the next moment, the flaming wings on his back vibrated. He returned to his original position. Interesting. The flames are not weak. They are strange. No wonder you are so arrogant. Kid, I wanted to kill you for the first prince. Now, it seems like you have no choice but to die. Only by devouring your flames can I improve my cultivation. The Spirit Fire King's eyes shone with a terrifying light. His cultivation technique was to devour different flames to purify his power. Now that he saw the flames on Lin Xian's body, he was naturally excited. He wanted to take them for himself. Me too. On the other side, the Frost King also stood out. Her exquisite face had a smile. I wonder what kind of ice element you have. Don't disappoint me. Chapter 2160. Although she was beautiful, she was an old monster who had lived for thousands of years. Her attack was extremely powerful. With a wave of her hand, a terrifying ice appeared. Countless ice flashed under her feet. Then, a huge ice spear rose from the ground. Like an ice dragon, it pierced towards Lin Xian. Whoosh! Lin Xian's body flashed and retreated. However, just as he moved, the surrounding ice energy enveloped him. His speed slowed down as he was enveloped by the icy aura. In the next moment, hellfire surged out from his body and blocked the ice. An ice longsword appeared in his hand. Boom! He slashed out with his sword, slicing through the sky and slicing the world of ice before him in half. What a powerful ice energy! What a pure sword of ice! Lord Tianshuang smiled satisfactorily. Not bad, not bad. Kid, I didn't expect you to have so many treasures. Since that's the case, the two of us will take them. Humph! What? You think you can take me down? Lin Xian snorted. The two of them had appeared as if they were in control of the situation. Did they really think that he could be taken advantage of? Kid, it seems like you don't understand the situation. You might be able to fight us one-on-one, but we won't give you a chance. Don't worry. We'll give it our all. We won't give you any chance to escape. Although you didn't offend us, it's your fault that you have such a treasure and such a pure ice and fire attribute energy. Since you have a treasure that doesn't belong to you, you deserve to die. After you die, we'll make good use of your energy. Lord Tianchuang smiled coldly. Buzz. Su Chen's face darkened as well. Cold killing intent appeared in his eyes. He summoned the dragon sword territory and covered Lord's spiritual fire. He pulled out his demonic sword and charged towards Lord Tianchuang. How dare you attack me? Kid, you've angered me. Lord Tianchuang laughed, but the light in her eyes was extremely sharp. Boom! She lashed out with her palm, which immediately formed a blue frost palm and blasted towards Lin Xian. Pun! In the next moment, Lin Xian's figure flashed and dodged the palm. However, the surrounding icy aura enveloped him. Then, countless frosts formed and froze him in midair. It's useless. The entire space is within my attack range. Seeing that his opponent was frozen, Frost King smiled. I have to say, you're really too weak. You can't even take a single move from me. Boom! However, just as she finished speaking, the ice sculpture suddenly exploded into pieces. Then, Lin Xian took a step forward. His body glowed brightly, and he didn't suffer any frostbite at all. Had it been broken? He hadn't been affected at all. How could this be? Seeing this, Frost King frowned. This shouldn't be the case. Even though his opponent was also an Ice King, he was very confident in his own ice energy. Even if the other party wasn't injured, they would still be affected. But now, the light on the other party's body was resplendent. It was clear that he hadn't received any damage at all. How could this brat's physique be so strong? King Tianchuang frowned. What he didn't know was that Lin Xian had just used the immemorial demonic blood to refine his body. Naturally, his physique was extremely strong. Although his opponent's ice energy was terrifying, it didn't have much effect on him. Lin Xian was delighted. His physique was obviously much stronger than before. This was the effect of the immemorial demonic blood. As expected of an immemorial demonic beast. The power of its bloodline was indeed terrifying. Lin Xian clenched his fists. His eyes glowed as he smiled. Whoosh! He used the demonic 8 parts and charged towards his opponent. Do you think you're the only one who knows how to use the power of ice? Lin Xian snorted coldly. His body emitted a terrifying ice energy that froze the surroundings. The entire space turned into a world of ice and snow. You're not qualified to use ice in front of me. Frost King snorted coldly. Countless amounts of ice surged out of his body. The two's ice energy clashed in the air. However, at this moment, Lin Xian held the demonic sword in his hand. His body emitted a terrifying killing intent. Ice Piercer. As he stabbed out, a blue sword light pierced through the void and sliced the space in half. Boom! The world of ice and snow that Frost King had created was sliced apart. What a powerful sword chi! Frost King's face turned pale as she hurriedly dodged. However, the sword light in Lin Xian's hand became brighter and brighter. Then, it turned into a curtain of swords that covered the sky. Finally, 3 of the sword chi hit Frost King. Clang! Clang! Even though it had hit the armor, Frost King was still sent flying. Frost King's face was pale. Blood flowed from the corner of her mouth. The blood in her body was chaotic. She didn't expect Lin Xian's sword technique to be so powerful that it could injure her. Boom! At this moment, there was an earth-shattering explosion behind her. Then, a sea of fire flew and blew away the dragon sword realm. Kid, do you think you can trap me with a small realm? How naive! Spiritual Fire King sneered. Flames danced on his body as if he was the fire god. His eyes were sharp. Lin Xian's face darkened. He waved his hand and the dragon sword realm appeared beside him, emitting countless sword chi. After Spiritual Fire King came out, he looked into the distance. However, when he saw that Frost King was injured and her face was pale, his face darkened. Killing intent surged from his body. Sister, you're injured. Spiritual Fire King exclaimed. Then, he turned around and stared at Lin Xian. Damn kid, how dare you injure my sister? I'll tear you to pieces. You won't have the chance. Lin Xian snorted. Blood-red sword runes appeared under his feet. The demon's slaying sword array rushed up and covered the ground. Then, the immemorial shadow appeared. The huge black body crushed the void as if it was going to crush Spiritual Fire King into a bloody mist. This immemorial demon soul had been refined by Lin Xian using the immemorial demon blood not long ago. Its power had increased once again. It was terrifying. It was as if a real immemorial demon beast had been revived. Its terrifying power crushed the void. Even the elites wouldn't dare to fight against it. Not good. The Spirit Fire King was startled when he saw the ancient phantom, and a trace of shock appeared on his face. He did not expect that the other party would have such a terrifying ultimate move. Especially the aura of the primordial phantom, which made him shudder with fear. In the next moment, flames surged out of his body and formed a red lotus. It kept expanding in front of him. It was as heavy as a mountain. Boom! 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 Then, the immemorial shadow crashed into the red lotus. Heaven and earth shook. There was a huge explosion in the void. A terrifying shockwave swept out. Initially, Frost King wanted to charge over. However, when she sensed the energy storm, she retreated as well. In front of her, Spiritual Fire King grunted. The red lotus above his head shattered, turning into countless flames. Chapter 2161. His entire body kept retreating, creating a black hole in the void. Damn it! How is this kid so strong? Spirit Fire King steadied himself with an ugly expression. He didn't expect that other than the power of ice and fire, his opponent would also have such a terrifying archaic shadow. It seemed that he had to be careful of his attacks. Spirit Fire King formed a hand seal, and a layer of fiery red armor covered his body. He looked forward again. What a dense fire aura! Lin Xian's eyebrows twitched as he looked ahead. He realized that the flame battle armor was no ordinary item. It should be a top-tier Earth-grade treasure. His opponent was indeed not an ordinary almighty. He actually had a top-tier treasure. Thinking of this, Lin Xian snorted coldly. The dragon sword soul in his body circulated, and the dragon sword domain trembled rapidly. Then, countless sword chi flew out like meteors in the sky, all of them blasting forward. It's useless. My armor is a top-tier Earth-grade one. You can't break my defense. Spirit Fire King sneered. Hand over the heavenly treasure obediently, or you'll die. Spirit Fire King then slapped his palms, and a monstrous sea of fire spread out, covering the entire sky. Go to hell, brat! At this moment, Frost King also charged over. The brother and sister didn't care about the rules of the world. They decided to work together to kill Lin Xian. On the other side, Frost King also unleashed a terrifying amount of ice power. It transformed into a giant ice snake in the air, baring its fangs and brandishing its claws as it pounced towards Lin Xian, as if it wanted to swallow him whole. Boom! 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 The battle was very intense, and the surrounding space trembled violently. This phenomenon naturally attracted many almighty kings. They had been frantically looking for Lin Xian, and now they were wandering around every corner of the secondary space. They naturally had to come and watch a battle of this level. What a terrifying aura! Who is fighting? This is the power of fire and ice. Is it the brother and sister of the first prince? Spirit Fire King and Frost King. They were both experts among the elites. The brother and sister together were terrifying. They could fight top-tier almighties. Who was fighting them? Was it the third prince's men or the eighth prince's men? The people in the distance discussed animatedly. However, they only dared to watch from 10,000 miles away. They didn't dare to come closer. This was because the area within a radius of 10,000 miles was completely covered by a monstrous sea of fire and terrifying frost. What? It's him! At this moment, A middle-aged man's eyes emitted a black light that pierced through the void. He saw the situation inside and exclaimed, "What's wrong, old Fong? Who did you see?" The person next to him asked. Lin Xian was Lin Xian's son. The middle-aged man explained the situation. It was that brat. It was really him. A pair of worn-out iron shoes searching for nothing, only to find it by chance without any effort. An old man laughed loudly, while the others were shocked. Although they had found Lin Xian's whereabouts, the current situation was not optimistic. Even an idiot could tell that Spirit Fire King and Frost King were fighting for the treasures. If the two kings succeeded in capturing him, it would be difficult for them to make a move on him. However, they didn't dare to snatch it now. After all, Spirit Fire King and Frost King could defeat them if they joined forces. Hence, they could only watch from afar. But soon, they sucked in a breath of cold air. This was because they realized that Lin Xian wasn't at a disadvantage against the two powerful kings. Instead, he was getting fiercer and fiercer. Heavens, where did this brat come from? His combat strength was too terrifying. Many kings swallowed their saliva. In the distance, Spiritual Fire Emperor and Frost Emperor's faces darkened as well. Both of them were elite almighties, and their expressions could fight against pinnacle almighties. However, they couldn't take down a brat even with their combined forces. This gave them a surreal feeling. How could this brat be so strong? Their faces turned ugly as they attacked even more ferociously. Damned brat, go to hell! The Spiritual Fire King roared in anger. When he opened and closed his eyes, terrifying flames overflowed. On the other side, Frost King was also terrifying. She waved her hand, and the ice domain around her froze the entire area. Lin Xian was even more valiant. His eyes were terrifying, and the sword chi on his body surged. He opened the dragon sword domain, and the terrifying sword chi turned into giant dragons that rampaged in the sky. The demonic sword in his hand became hundreds of feet long. Every time it slashed down, it would destroy a part of the world. Boom! 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 At this moment, Lin Xian displayed his powerful combat strength against the two elite kings. In front of him, energy rumbled as if the world was about to be destroyed. The people who were watching the battle from afar were all shocked and dumbfounded. Although they were here to capture Lin Xian, they had to admit that Lin Xian was too strong. If it were them, they wouldn't be able to withstand such a combo attack. One move would probably turn them into a bloody mist. But now, Lin Xian was still not at a disadvantage after exchanging hundreds of moves with them. How powerful and heaven-defying was that? No, the Spirit Fire King and Frost King haven't used their full strength yet. I remember that they both have bloodline power. An elder's eyes flashed as he spoke. That was indeed the case. The others nodded as well. They had naturally heard of the power of the siblings. Their bloodline power would increase their combat strength. If they used it, Lin Xian wouldn't be able to withstand it. Boom! 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 Another intense collision. Lin Xian turned into a sword god, and the demonic sword in his hand slashed forward, clashing with the terrifying world of fire and ice. Then, the three of them split up and stood in three different directions. Lin Xian's eyes were solemn, and his body was filled with killing intent. On the other side, the Spirit Fire King and Frost King's faces were terrifyingly dark. They didn't expect a brat to be so troublesome. They couldn't do anything to him even if they worked together. Some of the sword wounds on their bodies were caused by the other party. They were still in pain and couldn't heal at all. Brother, don't hold back anymore. Use your bloodline power. We have to take down this brat quickly. I feel that he's too evil. Frost King gritted his teeth and said, "All right." Hearing this, the Spirit Fire King nodded solemnly. Then, the flames in his eyes shone even brighter. Brat, you should be proud that you made us use our bloodline power. Speaking of this, a flame mark appeared in between his eyebrows. Then, the blood in his body rumbled as he quickly used his bloodline power. Bloodline power! Hearing this, Lin Xian frowned. No wonder. This pair of siblings actually possessed the power of bloodline. It was indeed terrifying. Only he was strong enough to withstand it. If it were another elite, he would have been killed long ago. Boom! Spirit Fire Bloodline. The Spirit Fire King roared as streaks of bloody light shot out from his body and merged with the surrounding flames. Chapter 2162. Flame runes flashed around his body, each of them mysterious and emitting a terrifying power. On the other side, Frost King also used her bloodline. A blue snowflake appeared between her eyebrows, and the power of ice in her body became even more terrifying. Even the kings who were watching from afar were trembling, their faces pale. This aura was twice as strong as before. Everyone was shocked. This bloodline power was too terrifying. It could actually multiply one's attack power. It's over. That kid is dead for sure. Yeah, unless he also had bloodline power, he wouldn't be able to fight back at all. What a pity. The treasure was going to belong to the first prince. Discussions could be heard. Obviously, these people thought that Lin Xian couldn't fight against Spirit Fire King and Frost King. Go to hell, brat! Spirit Fire King roared and punched out. The terrifying fist tore through the void and smashed towards Lin Xian. 1. Lin Xian waved his hand, and countless hellfire gathered, forming a huge flaming door in front of him. Pun! However, in the next moment, the flaming door was smashed into pieces by the punch. Lin Xian stepped forward and used the demigods to dodge the terrifying fist. It's useless. Stop struggling. You're not my match at all. Spirit Fire King's voice was cold. You have no chance of resisting after using your bloodline power. Kid, this is the difference between us. With bloodline power, we are the favorites of heaven and earth. We are invincible. Frost King also attacked mercilessly. She was like an ice queen who wanted to suppress everything in the world. In her jade-like hand, an ice spear quickly formed, and she waved it forward. Whoosh! 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 In an instant, a cold wind blew, and the air was filled with a terrifying icy aura. In the sky, Lin Xian's sword chi was all frozen, and then fell to the ground, creating countless craters. This is the difference between us. Your attacks are completely useless against the power of our bloodline. Unless you have bloodline power, you have no right to fight against us. Spirit Fire King snorted. Lin Xian said in a deep voice. I don't have the power of a bloodline, but what I have, you don't have either. At this point, he let out an angry roar. The great dragon sword spirit in his body suddenly erupted. Then, a sharp sword wave surged from his body, connecting heaven and earth, and spread out in all directions. Lin Xian's aura also became incomparably strong in an instant. So powerful! This guy's strength had also increased. How could this be? Could it be that he had been hiding his strength before? The mighty figures in the distance were all stunned. They didn't dare to believe it. Spiritual Fire King and Frost King sensed the change in aura. Their pupils shrank as well. Stronger, the other party's aura had also become stronger. Just like them, he had become incomparably powerful, far stronger than before. But how was that possible? They had become stronger because of their bloodline power. When they unleashed their bloodline power, their battle prowess would increase exponentially. However, what right did the other party have? The other party did not possess any bloodline power, so how could his battle prowess have increased? They simply could not understand. If you can't figure it out, then go to hell and figure it out. Lin Xian snorted coldly. He swung his sword, and a terrifying flaming sword slashed down crazily. At the same time, his palm moved, and a thunderous palm slapped towards Frost King. At this moment, Lin Xian was like a god of war. He was unstoppable. Boom! 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 Spiritual Fire King and Frost King fought back against the terrifying sword chi and thunderous palm. Then they roared, "Damn kid, go to hell!" The two of them were really angry. They had unleashed their bloodline power. Could it be that they couldn't do anything to the other party? They didn't believe it, so they attacked fiercely. His fist was extremely red. This was the terrifying bloodline power. Together with the towering flames, it was definitely terrifying. Boom! The fist was like a sun that appeared in the sky. On the other side, Frost King also slapped out with his jade-like hand. His jade-like hand contained terrifying bloodline power. It was like the hand of the ice goddess. It was extremely terrifying. Boom! 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 Lin Xian had completely exploded. He held the sword in one hand and slashed towards Spiritual Fire King. His other hand was clenched into a fist and punched towards Frost King. Boom! The sword she slashed open the fiery fist. Lin Xian's fist pushed back the icy palm. Seeing this scene, the people in the distance were all stunned. Some of the older generation people even exclaimed, "Heavens, isn't his physique a little too strong? He dares to fight against an expert with bloodline power barehandedly without being injured. How did he do it? I've only seen such a physique on the Golden Lion King." But the Golden Lion King was a genius of the war tribe. Where did this kid come from? These people were crazy. The craziest ones were Spiritual Fire King and Frost King. Both of them had unleashed their bloodline power. They were originally full of confidence, and thought that they could destroy the other party. However, the other party didn't expect that they couldn't suppress the other party. In fact, they were suppressed by the other party. This made them go crazy. Damn it! Fire Spirit Divine Fist. Spiritual Fire King roared. His fists surged crazily. They were like meteors that smashed forward. Frost Seal. Between the heaven and earth, the air was filled with icy aura. Then, a mysterious palm descended from the sky. Holding an ancient seal, it suppressed Lin Xian. Everywhere it passed, there would be a clanging sound. The space was completely frozen. Spiritual Fire King and Frost King were truly enraged. At this moment, not only did they unleash their bloodline power, but they also unleashed their powerful martial skills. Kill! Lin Xian roared as well. His killing intent sword. He held the 9 Darkness demonic sword in his hand. With a swing of his sword, the fiery sword she gathered. A black sword light swept across the heaven and earth. Chaotic Heaven Destroyer Sword. During this period of time, Lin Xian's Chaotic Heaven Destroyer Sword had improved again. It was a lot stronger than before. Therefore, when he unleashed it now, the sky changed color. Boom! 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 After an intense collision, Spiritual Fire King roared. He was hit by 2 sword chis. Blood spurted out. There was even a place where his bones were exposed. He couldn't believe it. The other party's sword chi was too terrifying. Even his soul was trembling. On the other side, Frost King was also hit by a sword chi. She was sent flying and vomited blood. Her delicate face turned incomparably pale. Lin Xian quickly unleashed the Chaotic Heaven Destroyer sword to fight with the other 2. He didn't have any other moves. He wanted to improve his sword skills in such an extreme battle. After all, the Chaotic Heaven Destroyer sword was a heaven-class sword skill. It was difficult to cultivate normally. Spiritual Fire King and Frost King were rare opponents. Therefore, he didn't want to let go of this opportunity. He wanted to fight to his heart's content. Boom! The battle was unusually intense. Lin Xian relied on his body that had just been tempered by the primordial bloodline. After putting on the black armor, he was extremely valiant. Chapter 2163. The Chaotic Sky Destroyer sword in his hand was even more powerful. Lord Tianshuang and Lord Spiritual Fire roared in anger. In the blink of an eye, another 100 moves had passed. Just then, Lord Spiritual Fire released 400 streaks of sword light. Each of them was filled with chaotic sword chi. Ah! Lord Spiritual Fire roared and waved his hands. His bloodline power exploded and turned into a sea of red fire, blocking the 400 streaks of sword light. At the same time, he retreated quickly. 1. After pushing Lord Spiritual Fire back, Lin Xian used demonic dragon's 8 parts and appeared in front of Lord Tianshuang. He slashed down with his demonic sword. Streaks of chaotic sword chi fell from the sky. Boom! 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 It was as if countless dragons were flying down from the sky. They broke through the void and pressed down on Lord Tianshuang. Lord Tianshuang's expression changed instantly. Her delicate face became ferocious. She did not expect Lin Xian to be so fast that she could not react in time. It was impossible for her to escape now. She gritted her teeth and activated her bloodline power, preparing to fight back. Ice God's Wall. Heaven Frost King quickly formed a seal. The ice field vibrated and formed 8 blue ice walls around her. Each one was hundreds of feet tall and towered into the sky. The 8 blue ice walls shone with runes and gave off a mysterious aura. The 8 ice walls were like mysterious ice mountains. They blocked in front of Lord Tianshuang and surrounded her tightly. After using this mystique, Lord Tianshuang heaved a sigh of relief. Then, an ice armor appeared on her body. She did not believe that Lin Xian could break her ice god's wall. Boom! In the next moment, the terrifying demonic sword landed on the ice walls. Suddenly, the ground shook and a cold wind blew. Frost started to fall from the sky. Crack! 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 Cracks began to appear on one of the gigantic ice walls. The cracks quickly spread until the entire ice wall was completely cracked. Then, it exploded with a loud bang. No! Lord Tianshuang roared and spat out blood again. She was hurt by this attack and was sent flying. However, she waved her hand and the remaining 7 ice walls started to spin again. However, she had underestimated Lin Xian's speed. In the blink of an eye, Lin Xian had appeared beside her, so the ice wall had lost its effect. Damn it! Seeing this scene, the Spirit Fire King in the distance roared and rushed over madly. He had already healed his injuries, but he did not expect that his sister would fall into an extremely dangerous situation. Brat, if you dare to touch my sister, I'll tear you to shreds. Pun! However, just as he finished speaking, the long sword in Lin Xian's hand fell at the same time. Instantly, the attack landed on Frost King's stomach. Frost King spat out a mouthful of blood, dyeing the sky red. Her delicate body was like a shooting star, smashing down heavily. Boom! Boom! Dust rose from the great earth below, the great earth cracking apart. 4,000 li long cracks appeared, and they were still continuously extending. The pupils of the King Almighty's thousands of miles away shrank when they saw this scene, and all of them were extremely terrified. To be honest, they had never dreamed that such a scene would occur. This was because they knew how terrifying Frost King and the Spirit Fire King with their bloodline power were. However, Lin Xian's strength had exceeded their expectations and understanding. Ah, damn brat, I'll kill you! I'll definitely kill you! The Spirit Fire King roared madly. This was because he realized that Lin Xian had sent his sister flying. He rushed over madly, his eyes red, and his body filled with killing intent. It turned into a killing sword, piercing through the surroundings. Boom! Chaotic Heaven Destroyer Sword, Demon Seal. At this moment, the sword light in Lin Xian's hand suddenly exploded. He had used the first killing move of the Chaotic Heaven Destroyer Sword. Boom! A huge sword chi descended from the sky, ruthlessly striking the Spirit Fire King's body, instantly sending him flying. The armor on his body shattered instantly, and a terrifying sword mark appeared in front of him, almost cutting him in half. The spiritual energy in Lin Xian's body was quickly sucked out like water. He did not expect that the Chaotic Heaven Destroyer Sword would consume so much energy. Especially this killing move, it had used up 1/3 of his spiritual energy. Whoosh! He sucked hard, and the spiritual energy in a radius of 10,000 miles quickly gathered towards him. The crowd in the distance sucked in a breath of cold air. They were shocked. Even the Almighty Kings were dumbfounded. They hadn't expected Lin Xian to be able to unleash such a powerful killing move. 5,000 miles away, the Spirit Fire King stopped and roared into the sky. His body had almost been cut in half. His body was a blur, and blood flowed wildly. The mountains and rivers below were also destroyed mercilessly. Shock, fear, humiliation, anger, and all sorts of emotions swirled in the Spirit Fire King's heart, making him crazy. In the next moment, he took out a large amount of spiritual herbs from his storage ring and swallowed them. At the same time, he used his cultivation technique to temporarily suppress his injuries, and the bloodline power in his body burst out. Crazy, he had really gone crazy. No matter what price he had to pay, he would kill his opponent today. Therefore, in the next moment, fierce flames erupted from his eyes, burning fiercely. Boom! On the other side, a figure flew up quickly from the ground. It was the Frost King. She had been hit by Lin Xian earlier, and there were 3 sword holes on her body. Although she had temporarily suppressed her injuries, her hair was disheveled, and she was in a sorry state. You are the first person to force me and my sister into such a desperate situation. The Spirit Fire King gritted his teeth, and his voice was filled with killing intent. However, there is no chance for you to kill us. As he spoke, he flew closer and closer to Frost King. Seeing this, Lin Xian frowned. The powerful kings in the distance were also confused. What was going on? The Frost King and the Spirit Fire King still wanted to fight? However, this should not be the case. They were both heavily injured, and it seemed like they could not even use half of their combat strength. Under such circumstances, how could he possibly be a match for Lin Xian? After all, they could not even defeat him when they were at their peak. Now that they were heavily injured, how could they turn the tables? Why was he not running away? They could not understand. Could it be that he still had some trump cards? That was right, they still had some trump cards. Soon, these people were stunned. The Spirit Fire King and the Frost King were leaning against each other, and their bloodline powers were beginning to merge. Kid, I will let you see our final killing move. No one can block our final killing move, and you are no exception. You will be killed. I will use your blood to wash away the humiliation we have suffered. The Spirit Fire King and the Frost King gritted their teeth, and their bloodline powers quickly exploded and merged in the air. Buzz! Their king domains also intertwined in the air, and the power of ice and fire quickly gathered, and an even more terrifying aura exploded. Please recommend, vote, subscribe, collect, tip. Chapter 2164. Buzz! Their king domains intertwined in the sky. The power of ice and fire quickly gathered, and an even more terrifying aura burst out. What? The fusion of ice and fire? Their bloodline powers were actually able to fuse. In the distance, the King Realm experts were stunned. What kind of theory was this? It was impossible. Ice and fire were 2 completely opposite powers. How could they merge? However, it was happening right in front of them now. Even Lin Xian furrowed his brows as his eyes flickered. He did not expect the other party to possess such ability. However, soon after, he sneered. It seemed that even the heavens were helping him. He had the hellfire and sea god's ice, but he could only let them coexist. He could not merge them. However, the 2 in front of him could merge them. They must have some kind of secret technique. If he could get it, he might be able to increase the power of his ice and fire. In front of him, the 2's aura burst out again. Their bloodline powers had merged. An ice and fire domain circled in the sky, releasing a terrifying power. Brat, take our strongest attack. Ice and fire. Spirit Fire King and Frost King roared as they attacked together. Their king domains quickly shot out a beam of ice and fire. A mysterious power surged. It was both cold and hot. The 2 completely opposite auras merged into one. It was like a beam of divine light descending from the sky towards Lin Xian. This attack was too terrifying. Even the King Realm experts thousands of miles away knelt on the ground. They could not take it. Lin Xian's expression was grave as well. He too felt a great threat. In the next moment, he took a deep breath and swung the chaotic Sky Destroyer sword again. Demon Seal. It was the same killer move from before. This time, Lin Xian was even more familiar with it. Countless swords she flashed and formed a huge net. It seemed to be able to seal the world. Boom! The two attacks collided. In the end, the chaotic Sky Destroyer sword was stronger and sealed the beam of ice and fire. He could seal it. This was impossible. What kind of sword technique was he using? How could it be stronger than our combined attack? Spirit Fire King and Frost King were stunned. They did not dare to look. This was their strongest trump card, a powerful killing move formed by the fusion of their bloodlines. Even pinnacle mighty figures couldn't resist it. However, the other party actually managed to block it. What kind of swordsmanship was that? They had no chance to find out because Lin Xian had sealed the light of ice and fire. Then, he stretched out his palms and turned them into two green dragons. In an instant, Spirit Fire King and Frost King were bound and sealed. Loud and clear dragon roars were heard. Spirit Fire Emperor and Frost Emperor's faces were ashen. They did not have much energy left. There was no way he could withstand Lin Xian's attacks. However, in the next moment, they were all stunned. The reason for that was because they discovered that although they were bound, the other party did not take their lives. What was going on? The two of them couldn't understand. But in the next moment, the world spun and they fainted. With a wave of his hand, Lin Xian sealed the two of them, knocked them unconscious, and threw them into the black earth. He didn't kill them immediately because he had his own plans. These two people were still useful to him, so he kept them for now. What's going on? What about Spirit Fire King and Frost King? Could it be that they were killed? The people in the distance were shocked because Lin Xian's movements were too fast. Many of them didn't see it clearly. However, thinking about it, they were probably dead. With Lin Xian's terrifying means, the two of them would definitely be killed. In the next moment, Lin Xian turned around and looked around coldly. Then, he said in a deep voice, "What? You want to attack me too?" There was a trace of cold killing intent in his voice. Instantly, the kings who were watching the battle swallowed their saliva and felt their scalps go numb. Many of them even ran away. What a joke! Who would dare to attack him? Didn't they see that the powerful Spirit Fire King and Frost King were defeated? Making a move against him now was truly an act of seeking death. In an instant, everyone left and didn't dare to get close. However, some of them secretly called for help. Although they couldn't defeat him, they didn't believe that he was invincible with more than 10 or 20 of them attacking together. However, these people had all left quietly, and no one dared to appear in front of Lin Xian. Lin Xian snorted and left in a flash. However, the news of this battle spread like wildfire. Those princes who weren't here heard about it, and all of them gasped. They didn't even believe it. They knew how powerful Spirit Fire King and Frost King were. How could they be defeated? However, as more and more people spread the news, they had no choice but to believe it. Damn it! When the first prince heard about it, he was furious. He roared in anger. He didn't expect that his two elite subordinates couldn't defeat Lin Xian even when they worked together. It was really unexpected. Damn it! Where was the Golden Lion King? He told him about Lin Xian and asked the Golden Lion King to kill him. On the other side, the third prince, the eighth prince, and the others had all heard about it. The eighth prince was naturally happy. He then led his men to the location of the battle. The third prince's face was gloomy. Even Spirit Fire King and Frost King had been defeated. The Dark King that he sent must have been killed. Damn brat, looks like I have to do it myself. The third prince also decided to lead a large group of men to kill Lin Xian. He didn't believe that Lin Xian could fight against his entire team. However, when they arrived, they found that Lin Xian had already left. This made them go crazy. However, the third prince believed that Lin Xian couldn't have escaped far. Therefore, they started a crazy search in the surrounding 100,000 miles. The Golden Lion King also arrived. He descended like a god of war. He then looked at the battlefield and snorted. "Brat, you can't escape. He then flew into the sky and disappeared again. However, Lin Xian had already left. He found a mountain range and hid before entering the Black Earth. In front of the third prince were two powerhouses who were tied up. Lin Xian sneered and walked over. Spirit Fire King and Frost King had already woken up. When they saw Lin Xian walking towards them, they screamed. "Damn brat, let us go! You dare to touch us? You're dead. You still dare to threaten me?" Lin Xian sneered. "Looks like you guys still don't understand your situation." He looked at the two of them, his eyes shining with a terrifying light. "What do you want?" The two of them felt their hair stand on end when they were stared at. "What do I want?" Lin Xian sneered. "You guys came to kill me. What do you think I want? Naturally, I'll kill you. Also, let me tell you something. I'm very interested in your ice and fire fusion power." Chapter 2165. Why? Of course, I'm going to kill you. Also, let me tell you something. I'm very interested in your fusion of ice and fire. What? Hearing this, the two's pupils shrank. Damn brat, you dare to target us? They were furious. Previously, they wanted to kill Lin Xian and steal Lin Xian's energy. Unexpectedly, not only did they fail, they even became prey. How ironic! Dream on, we won't tell you! Frost King snorted. I don't need you to tell me, I'll get it myself. Lin Xian's eyes shone with a golden light. Your eyes! When Spirit Fire King and Frost King saw this scene, their eyes were filled with fear. Ah! In the next moment, they cried out in pain, and their eyes became blurry. The golden light in Lin Xian's eyes became brighter and brighter. 2 hours later, he retracted his gaze. Plop! The two in front of him fell down powerlessly. So that's how it is. Lin Xian understood. With a wave of his hand, hellfire appeared and burned the two to ashes. In the following time, he began to study the fusion of ice and fire. On this day, Lin Xian opened his eyes. With a wave of his hand, a strange energy appeared in his hand. Lin Xian was delighted. He looked at the ball of fire and ice in his hand and smiled. Ever since he was strengthened by hellfire and ice, he was unable to fuse his heart. But now, it seemed that he had succeeded again. After the fusion of ice and fire, the energy would definitely increase by several folds. It had completely surpassed the power of hellfire and ice alone. Brat, the 8th prince's men are here. At this moment, He too reminded him. The 8th prince had finally found his way here. Lin Xian raised his head. He wasn't surprised that the 8th prince could find him, because he still had 3 trump jade talismans in his possession. They could form a weak connection with the 8th prince. Thinking about it, the 8th prince would find him sooner or later. Moreover, he hadn't moved for the past 3 days. Little Lin, be careful. I wonder what the 8th prince's attitude is. At the side, the Crimson Dragon also reminded him. According to my deduction, the 8th prince is not a person who is greedy for treasures. His main goal should be to become the crown prince. Therefore, I guess that he wouldn't do anything to me. Instead, he would protect me. Lin Xian's guess was correct. When he left the Black Earth and met up with the 8th prince and the others outside, Lin Xian's eyes lit up. The 8th prince was overjoyed. Then, he quickly expressed his intentions. He decided to protect Lin Xian with all his might. Lin Xian laughed when he heard that. Don't worry, 8th prince, with me here, you will definitely become the crown prince. Brother Lin, do you have any good plans? The 8th prince asked. He had also heard of Lin Xian's battle achievements. This was definitely a formidable battle strength. With Lin Xian's support, the position of crown prince was just around the corner. The Almighties around the 8th prince, including Taoist Dragon and Lord of the Underworld, all looked at Lin Xian with strange expressions. They were nervous. To be honest, although Lin Xian's strength was formidable when he first came in, he was still lacking compared to the Almighties. At that time, they did not pay much attention to a young junior. But now, in less than a month, which was more than 20 days, Lin Xian's cultivation had increased by leaps and bounds. He had already surpassed them by far. This made them very emotional. They also knew that a peerless genius like Lin Xian was definitely rare. Perhaps only someone like the Golden Lion King could be mentioned in the same breath. Moreover, there were historical records of such freaks in the ancient times. In the ancient times, there was someone who became a saint at the age of 30 and became an unparalleled saint. There was someone who created a supreme sword technique in his 20s. There was an even more heaven-defying legend. There was someone who established a sect at the age of 18 and his strength was boundless. There was no limit to time for the Almighties. Those peerless geniuses were usually able to stand out when they were young and reach heights that ordinary people could never reach in their lifetime. There was no doubt that Lin Xian was also such a freak. Lin Xian naturally did not know what these people were thinking. After hearing the 8th prince's words, he thought for a while and said, "I've decided to take action against the 3rd prince." "Take action against the 3rd prince." Hearing this, the 8th prince was stunned. The Almighties behind him were also shocked. If they were in Lin Xian's shoes, they would probably take the safer approach to protect themselves. However, Lin Xian wanted to take the initiative to attack the other princes. Moreover, Lin Xian chose one of the 3 strongest princes. "I have 2 reasons," Lin Xian explained. "First, it is my own reason. The 3rd prince has tried to kill me many times and even spread the news to make everyone my enemy. Since he is trying to get rid of me, it is impossible for me not to be angry and not take action against him. Moreover, as the crown prince, your main opponents are the 3rd prince and the 1st prince. The other princes are not a threat to you at all. As for the 1st prince and the 3rd prince, the 1st prince is the strongest. Therefore, if you want to become the crown prince, you have to take action against the 3rd prince. Only by taking care of the 3rd prince will you be qualified to challenge the 1st prince." "That's right, I think so too." The 8th prince closed the folding fan in his hand and nodded slightly. "Then, I will take action against the 3rd prince. I think you should know that all of us princes have trump cards that can save our lives. In other words, when our lives are threatened, we will automatically teleport out. Although we will not be killed in the end, we will completely lose the crown prince's battle. Therefore, when you attack, do your best to attack the 3rd prince. As long as he is eliminated, we will win. Of course, they will also attack me crazily. So, you must be very careful," the 8th prince said in a deep voice. Next, Taoist Long and the other Almighties began to analyze the battle. Who would be defending, who would be attacking, and who would be sneak attacking? These all had to be discussed. At the very least, they could not act like headless flies. Needless to say, the main attacker was Lin Xian, together with the other powerful Almighties. These Almighties either had extremely violent attributes such as lightning and fire, or they had powerful attacks such as swordsmen and sabermen. The defense was represented by Taoist Long. The other Almighties mainly had ice, earth, water, and other defensive attributes. In other words, those who had supreme defensive artifacts would do their best to protect the 8th prince. The sneak attack was mainly carried out by the Lord of the Underworld. This kind of assassination, darkness, and speed Almighties were all listed as the main sneak attack force. In addition, there were also formations, soul attacks, and demonic beasts. Since they had discussed the grouping, they decided to take action. However, these people did not plan to take the initiative to look for them. They decided to use Lin Xian to lure the 3rd prince and the others out. They would wait at ease for the exhausted. Lin Xian naturally agreed to this suggestion. After they had set up the formation, Lin Xian moved out. He came to the outside world to attract everyone's attention, especially the 3rd prince and the others. Chapter 2166. After they finished setting up the formation, Lin Xian made his move. He came to the outside world to attract everyone's attention, especially the 3rd prince's men. Boom! As soon as Lin Xian came out, he raised his hand and tore apart more than a dozen mountains and shattered a few rivers. He even blasted 3 Almighties away. His appearance naturally attracted the attention of others. "Damn it, it's that kid! That kid is here again. Quickly report to the third prince. We can't let him escape again." Many figures flashed quickly. They didn't make a move immediately. Instead, they called for reinforcements. That was because after knowing Lin Xian's combat strength, no one dared to fight with Lin Xian alone. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Lin Xian floated in the sky and formed an ice bow in his hands. One after another, frost arrows shot out and exploded in all directions. Instantly, the kings who wanted to escape to deliver the message were all blasted into pieces. He only left one person behind. That person was the third prince's man. That person fled quickly like a shooting star. He even used a secret technique to cover his body with blood to increase his speed. The third prince. A blood-red light descended from the sky and rushed into a valley. The third prince and his men were in the valley. At that moment, they were resting and adjusting to their peak condition. However, the voice in the sky woke them up. In the next moment, the third prince and the other almighties opened their eyes. "What's going on?" The third prince stood up and asked in a deep voice. The blood-red lightning rushed into the valley and turned into an almighty. He quickly said, "Third prince, that kid Lin Xian has appeared. He's killing people everywhere. He's here. That's great." The third prince was overjoyed. The other almighties also stood up. "Let's go!" The third prince waved his hand, and all the kings flew into the sky and flew into the distance. On the other side, Lin Xian floated in the sky and created some huge commotion from time to time. Soon, he squinted his eyes because he realized that there were more than 10 rays of light in the distance. They were like rainbows that were rushing toward him. "They're here." The corners of Lin Xian's mouth curled up into a smile. Naturally, he could clearly see the figures in front of him. It was the third prince's team. Therefore, in the next moment, his figure flashed, and he flew into the distance. Behind him, the third prince and the others roared madly when they saw this scene. "Stop him quickly, don't let him escape." 1. At this moment, a grand cultivator in a green robe raised his hand and threw out 9 green flags. They covered the sky and locked onto an area. Boom! Lin Xian was also sealed in that space. Boom! However, in the next moment, the space shattered, and the 9 green flags flew out. Lin Xian's figure flickered again, leaving that place. Behind them, the third prince and the others were chasing after them. They would definitely not miss such a good opportunity. Moreover, the distance between the two sides was getting closer and closer. 1. Among them, 3 mighty figures who were proficient in speed burst forth instantly. They tore through the void and appeared in front of Lin Xian in an instant, blocking his path. The third prince and the other mighty figures behind him also caught up and cut off his escape route. In an instant, they surrounded Lin Xian. "Let's see where you can run to," those mighty figures sneered. The third prince also walked out. "Obediently hand over the rare treasure, and I'll give you a quick death. Otherwise, I'll let you know what it's like to beg for death." Humph! Lin Xian turned around. There was no fear on his face. Instead, there was a cold smile on his face. "I've finally lured you guys out." "What do you mean?" Hearing this, the third prince frowned. The other mighty figures' expressions also changed. Could it be a trap? Boom! Just as that thought came to their minds, countless rays of light suddenly lit up in all directions, forming a formation that enveloped them all. Then, more than 10 figures flew over from the mountain range in the distance. They came to the void and looked ahead, laughing loudly. "Old 8, it's you guys." The third prince looked around with a gloomy face. That's right, these people were the 8th prince and the others. Lin Xian had lured them into a trap and then stopped, which led to the scene just now. "That's right, third brother, it's me. It's time to put an end to this," the 8th prince said in a deep voice. "Just you? You want to fight with me? You're still lacking." The third prince snorted coldly. Although the 8th prince's strength was on par with his and they were both first-tier princes, he was confident that he could defeat the 8th prince and the others. His biggest target should be the first prince. Old 8, take your men and get lost. Otherwise, I'll eliminate you early. I should be the one saying that to you. The 8th prince's expression gradually became serious. I'll eliminate you today. After I'm done with you, I'll deal with the first prince. Who do you think you are? You want to eliminate me? The 3rd prince sneered in disdain. Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. A terrifying aura surged from the 3rd prince's body. Then, a dragon-shaped shadow wrapped around his body. The mighty figures around him also exuded a powerful aura. In the Grand Imperial Hall, the royal family elders exclaimed when they saw this scene. Is the final battle finally about to begin? Calculating the time, it's about time. There were only 7 or 8 days left. It's about time to clean up. However, in the past, they had always started from the weak princes. They didn't expect that the 2 first-tier princes would fight in advance this time. They couldn't help but be shocked because the 3 princes who had the highest chance of becoming the crown prince were the first prince, the 3rd prince, and the 8th prince. Now that the 2 of them were fighting, it would have a huge impact on the future. Who do you think will win this battle? I think it will be the 8th prince. He didn't suffer much damage. Moreover, Lin Xian obtained a rare treasure. I'm afraid that the 8th prince's strength will increase greatly. That was to be expected, as the 3rd prince had suffered some damage in the Dark Canyon previously. However, I don't think so. I'm optimistic about the 3rd prince. Although the 3rd prince suffered some damage, the others obtained a lot of rare treasures. During this period, their overall strength could be said to have increased by leaps and bounds. Everyone discussed animatedly, each with different opinions. Everyone's analysis was reasonable. However, they didn't know what the final result would be. They could only watch patiently. They finally met Lin Xian again. At this moment, the first blade stood out. He exuded a terrifying saber intent. Why? You want to fight with me? Lin Xian looked at him. That's right. I've explored 5 or 6 ruins during this period. My strength has increased greatly. This time, I won't lose to you. However, Lin Xian looked at him and shook his head. You're no match for me. Hearing this, the first blade snorted. I admit that you've obtained a rare treasure. However, I don't believe that you can fully use it now. The first blade's aura became more and more fierce. 7 terrifying saber seals appeared behind him. Chapter 2167. 7 Demon Blade. Kill. As soon as the battle started, he used his strongest killing move with his first strike. It seemed like he wanted to defeat Lin Xian and prove his strength. A huge blade light appeared between heaven and earth. It was as if the heavens had arrived, causing the hearts of the surrounding powerhouses to tremble. The first slash's strength had increased by so much. It was too terrifying. The powerhouses on the 8th prince's side were shocked because they realized that the first slash's strength had increased greatly. It was a world of difference compared to when he first entered. They thought that the other party must have had an unimaginable fortuitous encounter during this period. However, Lin Xian shook his head slightly. Since the other party had made a move, he would let the other party see how much he had grown during this period of time. He stretched out his hands. On his left hand, a ball of icy aura surged rapidly. On his right hand, a black flame danced. Then, he formed a seal with his palms and slowly put his hands together. Buzz! Hell's Ice Lotus. The blue ice and black flame merged and turned into a blue and black lotus. It spun rapidly in Lin Xian's hand, emitting a monstrous destructive aura. Feeling this aura, everyone's expression changed. What kind of power was this? It was too terrifying. The powerhouses on the 8th prince's side were shocked, and the 3rd prince's pupils shrank. Damn it, this kid's strength is too terrifying. The first slash's expression was also serious because the aura of the Hell's Black Lotus was too terrifying. Even his body was trembling slightly. However, in the next moment, he gripped the long blade in his hand tightly and slashed down. Buzz! The huge blade shadow swooped down and turned into a silver river, slashing towards Lin Xian. Go! Lin Xian waved his left hand and the Hell's Ice Lotus floated out quickly. Wherever it passed, the void was destroyed mercilessly. Boom! There was a shocking collision, and then the energy between heaven and earth exploded. The peerless blade shadow was instantly shattered and burned, scattering in all directions. As for the black fire lotus, it collided with the body of the first blade and blasted it back. Puff! The first slash spat out a mouthful of blood, and half of his armor was shattered. He had lost. He had actually lost. And he had lost in one move. He had lost even faster than before. Could it be that the gap between the two of them had not narrowed, but widened instead? The first blade could not believe it. He could not accept this reality. Just as he was about to move, the chi and blood in his body began to churn violently, causing him to spit out another mouthful of blood. The third prince and the grand cultivators around him all became serious. This was because they realized that the other party's strength was too strong. He had definitely surpassed the elite almighties. Kill! Kill them all! The third prince roared. Boom! Boom! The surrounding kings quickly counterattacked, and their auras flowed out. Many people rushed towards Lin Xian, while even more people rushed towards the eighth prince. When the eighth prince saw this scene, he waved his hand. Taoist Long released his king's domain, and covered the eighth prince, and a few higher beings surrounded the eighth prince to protect him. The underworld king led a group of people and charged over. A great battle erupted, shaking heaven and earth. Everything within a range of 10,000 li was instantly destroyed. Terrifying energies surged into the sky like a volcanic eruption, causing the ground to collapse rapidly. The terrifying killing intent was like a tidal wave that swept out in all directions, causing the surrounding mountains to collapse. Under this kind of energy, nothing could be preserved. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The sovereign realms spread out in all directions, tearing apart the firmament. The terrifying light connected with the stars in the sky. It was a terrifying scene. Boom! Lin Xian held the demonic sword in his hand and quickly swung it, instantly sending a higher being flying. Blood splattered everywhere, and that person crashed onto the ground like a meteor. Boom! Then, he punched back. Hell's Ice Lotus appeared on his terrifying fist, and it directly smashed a king who had ambushed him from behind. Blood splattered everywhere. Lin Xian fought in the air like a god of war. The third prince's people felt their scalps go numb as they looked at Lin Xian in horror. On the other side, the underworld king and the others also attacked. In the sky, a huge purplish-black ball of light appeared, covering a radius of 1,000 li, forming a terrifying pressure. The other higher beings also attacked, causing the heavens and earth to explode. This battle was too terrifying. Even the elders of the royal family in the Grand Imperial Hall were nervous. Boom! However, the third prince was definitely one of the top princes, and the higher beings under him were also extremely terrifying. Therefore, not long after the battle, the eighth prince's side also suffered a blow. Many people were injured, and 1 or 2 were killed. It could be said that the battle was very tragic. Kill! The eighth prince roared, and the Tao of Dragon aura on his body quickly surged out. In the distance, Lin Xian and the others felt a pure energy surrounding them. This was the Tao of Dragon aura, which could be used to increase the power of other king almighties. Now, the eighth prince was using it to provide energy for Lin Xian and the others. Indeed, under the Tao of Dragon aura, these king almighties were all excited. You're not the only one who has the Tao of Dragon aura. I have it too. The third prince also shouted coldly, and the dragon-shaped shadow on his body roared rapidly. The king almighties around him also received the power of the Tao of Dragon aura. Boom! Both sides fought again, causing the heavens and earth to shatter. This was a terrifying battle, and the terrifying power caused the entire ground to collapse. The void shattered, and nothing could stop it. The third prince's side went crazy, and the elite almighties all activated their domains, enveloping the surroundings. Lu Fei, Duan Qingqing, and the other young geniuses were pale. This crazy battle was a difficult test for them. Fortunately, they had obtained some opportunities before, and their strength had increased greatly. That was why they were able to narrowly avoid those killing moves. The 8th prince's side also fought back with all their might. The underworld king roared, and the pair of purple wings on his back were like heavenly blades, cutting one of the 3rd prince's almighties in half. Blood splattered like a sea of blood, circling the sky. This King Almighties of Darkness was finally enraged. The dark aura on his body swept through the heavens and earth, and the surroundings were pitch black. It was as if he had come to the underworld. Boom! At this moment, 18 large flags suddenly appeared in the void, locking down the space, and completely trapping Lin Xian. 5 almighties instantly appeared, and their 5 king domains overlapped as they attacked Lin Xian crazily. This was because they could see that the greatest threat here was not the older generation or the elite almighties, but this young man in his 20s. The other party's combat strength was too strong, and he would often severely injure them in just a few moves. This was too great a threat to them, and they had to get rid of him. Kid, go to hell! The 5 king domains flickered in the sky, and then they enveloped Lin Xian. Buzz! Lin Xian used the demigods and semi-devils, and he instantly tore through the void and dodged to the side. It's useless, you can't break my 18 flags. In the sky, a green-robed elder sneered. Chapter 2168. Boom! As soon as he finished speaking, he was stunned. It was broken! How was that possible? He was too shocked because a black hole the size of a house had appeared in the sealed space formed by the 18 flags that he was so proud of. Lin Xian retreated 1,000 miles in a flash. Boom! Boom! In an instant, the 5 kings' domains had destroyed the original space. How was that possible? How did that kid escape from my spatial seal? He did not dare to imagine. Boom! In the next moment, Lin Xian moved again. He charged toward the elder in green robes. He realized that the elder in green robes was too threatening, especially the spatial seal. It was very troublesome for him. If it was someone else, it would be difficult for them to escape. Therefore, he decided to deal with this problem first, and then turn around to kill the 3rd prince. Whoosh! Lin Xian was like a giant dragon. He flew quickly in the air and charged toward the elder in green robes. You're courting death. Get lost! The elder in green robes roared and slammed his palm down. The space within 1,000 miles shattered as a terrifying palm descended from the sky. Buzz! The moment the Chaos Sword technique was unleashed, it was like a comet that lit up the entire sky. The terrifying sword light tore apart the huge palm and then slashed toward the elder in green robes. Whoosh! The elder in green robes retreated like lightning and dodged in the void. At the same time, the 18 flags circled around him, forming a king's domain. Seal! The elder in green robes waved the 18 flags and activated the sealing power. Once again, the space around Lin Xian was sealed. However, it was useless. Lin Xian was like a sword god. His body emitted a dazzling sword light as streaks of chaotic sword chi surged out from his hand. In an instant, the sealed space was shattered. Fire gods roar! In the sky, a huge flaming sword slashed down and sent the 18 flags flying. 5 of them were burned to ashes. Damn it! The elder in green robes looked pained. His opponent's flames were too terrifying. They could burn his Dharma treasures. In the next moment, the remaining green flags circled around him. He opened his mouth and spat out a pagoda. Suddenly, the pagoda rapidly enlarged and spun, forming a terrifying power. The sky was filled with green light, and the void was shattered. Large black craters appeared one after another. These rays of light shot towards Lin Xian. However, Lin Xian directly pierced through the void and appeared in another location. Azure Sky Pagoda! On the 8th prince's side, many officials exclaimed. Among them, Taoist Long loudly reminded them to be careful and not be swept by the cyan light. Lin Xian also furrowed his brows, because the green pagoda gave him a huge sense of danger. The green light seemed to be able to melt everything. It had a strong corrosive effect. That was how the black holes in the sky were formed. Fortunately, he had extreme speed and was able to dodge it. Otherwise, if he was hit by the green light, he would have been injured. Thinking of this, the Hellfire and Sea God's ice rushed out from his hands and merged in front of him to form the Hell's Ice Lotus. Go! Lin Xian waved his hand, and then the Hell's Ice Lotus spun and flew upwards. Suddenly it collided with the green pagoda, causing a huge explosion. The green pagoda exploded, and countless cracks appeared on it. Even 2 floors of the pagoda were directly blown to pieces. No! Damn it! The mighty figure in green spat out 3 mouthfuls of blood with a ferocious expression. He did not expect his opponent to be able to shatter his Dharma treasure. In the next moment, he activated the remaining green pagoda and quickly charged towards Lin Xian. Humph! Lin Xian used the chaotic Heaven Destroyer sword, and a shocking sword she exploded. After a great battle, the green pagoda was cut in half, and the remaining sword she shattered another 3 green flags. The mighty figure in green was in a sorry state, and he was injured all over. He quickly escaped. He did not run far, but returned to the third prince's side. The third prince's aura of the Tao of Dragon could quickly heal his injuries. Kill! With a roar, Lin Xian charged towards the third prince. As long as he killed the third prince and eliminated him, he would win. The remaining mighty figures would have nothing to do with him. Lin Xian led his men and charged towards the third prince. Several elite mighty figures followed behind him, and their bodies were filled with killing intent. Courting death. Get lost! Seeing that Lin Xian had finally attacked the third prince, a mighty figure in purple robes beside the third prince roared. His voice was like the roar of flames, and it turned into a huge fire snake that swooped down. The fire snake was formed from purple flames, and it burned fiercely with a monstrous heat wave. It was a type of spiritual fire of heaven and earth, and it was extremely terrifying. At this moment, it was even more terrifying in the hands of this mighty figure. Lin Xian raised his hand and shot out an ice phoenix. A huge blue figure covered the sky and crashed into the fire snake. The Almighties behind him also spat out attacks that landed on the huge purple flames. Boom! 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 After being hit by so many experts, the purple flame snake was instantly torn apart. However, at this moment, the ground around Lin Xian rumbled. Rocks, walls, and mountains appeared around them. A bare-chested burly man stood in front of the third prince, and his hands were constantly clapping. He emitted a heavy aura that suppressed the 9 heavens. Earth-type king! The other party formed a cage and sealed them. For a moment, Lin Xian and the 3 mighty figures behind him were completely sealed in this special space. Myriad Forms Domain. This was the other party's domain. It was like a vast world with huge walls everywhere. Bang! 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 Beside Lin Xian, a few mighty figures attacked and shattered the thick walls with their palms. They wanted to break out. However, it was useless. Every time one collapsed, more would appear, blotting out the sky and covering the sun. There was no end to this. No, if this continues, we will be trapped here until we die. The 3 mighty figures stopped attacking. Their eyes flickered as they tried to find an opening. Indeed, such futile attacks were useless. They had to find an opening. Lin Xian stood in front, his clothes fluttering in the wind. Occasionally, a golden light would flash in his eyes. Outside, the sky was gray. Lin Xian and the others were enveloped by a strange domain. The Earth-type king sneered. It's useless. You can't break my myriad forms domain. Then, he turned around and said to the mighty figures around him, Hurry up and attack. Use your king domains to kill them. The mighty figures all activated their king domains, wanting to kill Lin Xian and the others who were trapped inside. However, at this moment, there was a shocking explosion in front of them. Then, a huge crack appeared in the myriad forms domain. Lin Xian and the other 2 charged out like shooting stars. Damn it, This is impossible. How did he break my myriad forms domain? The Earth-type mighty figure spat out a mouthful of blood. He was extremely shocked. He was very confident in his myriad forms domain. Even if the other party was strong, they wouldn't be able to break it in a short time. By the time the other party was about to break it, their domains would have overlapped, and they would have killed the other party. However, he realized that he had underestimated the other party's combat strength. The other party had broken his domain so quickly. Chapter 2169. Wild Thunder Eagle. As soon as he appeared, Lin Xian raised his hand and shot out a bolt of lightning. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning streaked across the sky. Its speed was extremely fast as it charged towards Tianfang. Protect the third prince. Seeing this scene, the surrounding mighty figures roared crazily. The earth element mighty figure even clapped his hands. Mud walls appeared in front of them one after another. The earth walls were extremely thick and emitted a desolate aura as if they had traveled through time and space. In an instant, more than 10 layers of defense appeared around the third prince. However, the wild thunder eagle was too violent. It was like a heavenly blade that instantly shattered 5 layers of defense. However, the wild thunder eagle exhausted its energy at the 9th layer of defense and turned into countless bolts of lightning that scattered in all directions. Seeing this scene, the third prince and the others heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, the other party was not heaven-defying enough to break through all the defenses. This was indeed good news for them. Lin Xian's eyes flickered because this was not his strongest attack. It was already very good that it could achieve such an effect. At this moment, a series of exclamations came from afar. It turned out that the third prince's men had also gone to kill the 8th prince. They quickly shattered a few layers of defense and arrived near the 8th prince. Fortunately, Taoist Master Long and the other elite mighty figures were very powerful and blocked this wave of attacks. Both sides had a tacit understanding. They were both going to assassinate the prince directly. Whoever succeeded first would win. Boom! Lin Xian made his move. He waved the demonic sword in his hand and pressed forward like a mountain. At the same time, the Lord of the Underworld also led his men to sneak attack from behind. The terrifying giant sword slashed down and split the void. On the other side, a huge purple ball of light appeared. Boom! In front of him, the earth element mighty figure struck out with both palms. His palms turned into 2 mountains and met the attack. The two collided and made a deafening sound. Boom! The earth element mighty figure was sent flying and spat out large mouthfuls of blood. Although his defense was strong, Lin Xian's attack was even more terrifying. He suffered internal injuries with one strike. With a wave of his hand, Lin Xian attacked again. The long sword in his hand slashed down quickly, and streaks of sword light pressed down like mountains. Bang! Bang! The earth-type powerhouse was sent flying, coughing up large mouthfuls of blood. He was seriously injured. Lin Xian swung his long sword and performed the chaotic heaven destroyer sword. Terrifying chaotic sword she slashed at the other almighties. The sword light was like a ferocious dragon, and was extremely violent. The surrounding powerful beings all dodged. Boom! A Linglong treasure pagoda descended from the sky and enveloped all of them, forming a powerful defense. Boom! A bronze cauldron appeared once again, forming a second layer of defense. The incomparably terrifying ice walls transformed into numerous ice dragons that coiled around the surroundings. 9 purple shields emitted the aura of thunder and lightning as they floated around the third prince. The third prince had formed an impenetrable defense around him, which was impossible to penetrate. However, the Primal Chaos Heaven Destroyer Sword technique was a heaven-class technique, and its power was beyond imagination. With Lin Xian's great dragon sword spirit, the combination of the two could be said to be earth-shattering. Boom! The 9 purple shields instantly broke into 2 halves and fell from the sky. The blue ice dragon let out a wail as its body was pierced by countless sword chi. What? How could he be so strong? Seeing the other party break through 2 layers of defense in an instant, these people were about to go crazy. They could not believe it at all. However, Lin Xian's attack was still ongoing. The Hell's Ice Lotus flew out and blasted the bronze cauldron away. Lin Xian strode over. The surrounding energy shockwaves could not cause any harm to him. His current physique was definitely incomparably strong. Buzz! Another chaotic sword light directly sent the last Linglong treasure pagoda flying. Then, Lin Xian charged towards the third prince. Seeing that all of their defenses had been destroyed, the surrounding powerful beings roared angrily. They attacked and counterattacked quickly. The sky was filled with terrifying energy, and a terrifying domain enveloped Lin Xian. However, Lin Xian executed the demigods and semi-devils and dodged the attacks with extreme speed, easily dodging the attacks. He appeared on the other side. At this moment, the Lord of the Netherworld had arrived. A huge purple ball of light crushed the surroundings, causing the King Realm powerful beings to resist crazily again. Demon Seal! Lin Xian seized the opportunity and used a killer move of the chaotic Heaven Destroyer sword to attack the third prince. Oh no! The surrounding powerful beings roared angrily and wanted to counterattack. However, it was too late. The third prince's pupils constricted as he felt a deadly threat. Buzz! In the next moment, he opened his mouth and spat out the flood dragon scissors, which instantly turned into 2 flood dragons. They bared their fangs and brandished their claws as they collided with the demon seal. The sky collapsed and the earth cracked. The third prince was pushed back, but he managed to block the demon seal's swordplay. Although he managed to block it, the third prince's face was gloomy. This was because it was too dangerous for him. He had never thought that he would have to block it with his own hands. If there were a few more attacks like this, he would not be able to block it. Thinking of this, his eyes turned gloomy as he looked into the distance. Over there, the 8th prince was also waiting and mingling. At this moment, the 8th prince was also in great danger. Therefore, he also took out his ecliptic treasure. The 8th prince's ecliptic treasure was a golden divine sword. At this moment, it was swaying in the wind as if a golden dragon was circling around him, emitting a terrifying power. Whoosh! At this moment, the third prince's pupils constricted as his body suddenly moved to the side. The place where he was originally standing was directly smashed into pieces. The Lord of the Underworld appeared, sneered, and disappeared again. Damn it! Form a formation and seal them! The third prince roared as the dragon energy in his body surged out and poured into the bodies of the 5 kings around him. Then, a mysterious formation appeared. 7 stars battle array. I didn't expect that the third prince would even use this battle array. It seems that he is really anxious. In the Grand Imperial Hall, everyone was discussing. They also realized that the third prince's situation was very bad. That was because Lin Xian's attacks were too powerful and could threaten the third prince's life at any time. As expected, Lin Xian attacked again. He was like a god of war. A casual attack could tear the sky apart, even though his opponent had formed a formation. However, as a formation master, Lin Xian specialized in attacking the flaws and weaknesses of the formation, causing it to be unable to sustain. Damn it, how did he know the flaws of the formation? The third prince was so angry that he flew into a rage. Zixin, hurry up and do it! The third prince shouted. Next to him, a middle-aged woman stood out. The middle-aged woman was dressed in purple and had a beautiful face. When she heard the third prince's words, she took out a purple gourd. She shook it gently. Suddenly, a cloud of purple mist floated out and transformed into a terrifying beast in the air. Whoosh! Whoosh! In an instant, 6 demonic beasts appeared in the void. They were not ordinary beasts, but terrifying monster kings. Each of them was hundreds of feet long and occupied the void. They emitted a monstrous aura. As soon as the 6 monster kings appeared, they directly shattered the void within a radius of 10,000 miles. The terrifying aura made the surrounding kings change their expressions. Chapter 2170. Go! The purple-clothed woman's black hair fluttered behind her as her eyes flickered. She controlled the 6 demon kings and quickly charged over. Brother Lin, don't worry. We have a beast tamer here as well. The 8th prince shouted loudly and wanted to send out his beast tamer. However, Lin Xian said, "There's no need. Let the beast tamer protect you. I'll deal with these 6 demon kings." At this point, the sharp aura in his eyes erupted once again, and a monstrous sword light swept through heaven and earth. Hearing this, the surrounding king realm experts were shocked. The purple-clothed woman sneered. "You want to fight against all of my demon kings alone? You're overestimating yourself." She was an extremely terrifying beast tamer. The demon kings in her hands were not ordinary. Each of them was abnormally ferocious, far surpassing king realm experts of the same level. Now that 6 demon kings had appeared together, it was definitely terrifying. Therefore, in the next moment, she attacked. With a wave of her hand, the fiery red bird quickly rushed out. This was a flaming eagle. It was extremely terrifying. As soon as it appeared, it spread its wings like a sea of red flames surging from the sky. The terrifying heat wave swept in all directions. Boom! The flaming eagle opened its mouth and spat out a huge fireball that rolled toward Lin Xian. Lin Xian stood in the void like a god, his body releasing terrifying sword intent. Behind him, the dragon sword domain appeared. Lin Xian activated the dragon sword soul and charged forward. Boom! Countless sword chi intertwined, and a black phoenix flew out of the dragon sword domain. It spread its wings and covered the 9 heavens. This phoenix was formed by hellfire and sword chi. Under the effect of the dragon sword soul, it was as if it was possessed by a real divine beast. As soon as it appeared, it let out a long cry and shattered the 9 heavens as it charged forward. Could it be that this kid was also a beast tamer? When everyone saw this scene, they were extremely shocked. They thought that this was a real phoenix. But soon, they shook their heads. Impossible, how could there be a real phoenix in the world? This was this kid's divine ability. Heavens, how could this kid have such a terrifying divine ability? They were too shocked. They didn't know that the great dragon sword spirit's offensive saint technique could simulate everything. At this moment, it was displayed by Lin Xian. It was truly terrifying. The 2 giant beasts fought in the sky. Soon, the flaming eagle let out a wail as its body was pierced through by the other's claw. A terrifying bloody mist appeared. After another 5 moves, the flaming eagle's body was split into 2 halves from the middle. The black phoenix let out a long cry and flapped its wings in the sky. So powerful! While the 3rd prince was astonished, the violet-clothed woman's face darkened. Her opponent had killed one of her demonic kings with a raise of his hand. This made her feel incomparably pained and driven her mad. In the next moment, she urged the 5 demon kings to attack the black phoenix together. Boom! Boom! The void trembled and quickly shattered. The black phoenix was being attacked by the 5 monster kings and was in imminent danger. Seeing this, the people on the 3rd prince's side laughed. They did not believe that the other party could still unleash such a terrifying attack. The 8th prince had a dignified expression, but Lin Xian only sneered disdainfully. Comparing numbers? You're really courting death. Lin Xian stood in the dragon sword domain and roared toward the sky. His body erupted with resplendent light. Everyone was stunned. They saw thousands of sword chi intertwining in the dragon sword domain, and a terrifying demonic beast phantom flew out. Phoenix, Qilin, True Dragon, 9-headed lion, Hell Demon Elephant, Peerless Serpent, 3-headed Hellhound. Terrifying figures appeared in the sky. They crushed the 9 heavens and shattered the stars. It was as if real primordial demonic beasts had awakened. The terrifying aura made everyone tremble. Damn it, how could it be? How could he have such a method? The 3rd prince's side had gone mad. The violet-clothed woman's body was trembling. Her face was incomparably pale without a trace of blood. She had a total of 5 demonic kings on her side, but the other party had taken out nearly 50 of them. None of them were weaker than her. How could she fight when there was a difference of 10 times? Damn it, these were all energy bodies. They could not stay for a long time. As long as they persevered, they would be fine. The violet-clothed woman's face was gloomy. She naturally knew about this matter. However, she did not know if they could withstand the other party's attack. Sure enough, after a few moves, the violet-clothed woman's 5 demonic beasts were all killed. Blood dyed the sky. It turned into a sea of blood. A few huge corpses smashed onto the ground, causing billowing smoke. In the sky, the demonic kings gradually faded and would disappear at any time. However, Lin Xian still waved his hand. Immediately, 50 demonic king phantoms charged towards the third prince. Block from me! The third prince's scalp went numb. He quickly shot out the flood dragon's scissors and instantly pierced through 10 demonic beast phantoms. The remaining 40 or so demonic beasts mercilessly drowned them. Boom, boom, boom! In the next moment, these demonic beast phantoms exploded, turning into a fierce storm that filled the sky. Boom, boom! Several powerful figures were sent flying in an instant. The third prince was drowned and could not be seen clearly at all. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air when they saw this scene. Some of them even stopped fighting. The royal elders in the Grand Imperial Hall were also on tenterhooks. Would the third prince be able to withstand such an attack? They did not know, but they were very worried. The surrounding demonic beasts who were sent flying used their king domains and quickly charged in to save the third prince. When all the light was torn apart, and the energy faded, the third prince's figure appeared. His hair was disheveled and he was in an extremely sorry state. There was blood flowing from his body. The flood dragon's scissors beside him also had cracks on them. This was a top-tier treasure. Now that there were cracks on it, one could imagine how terrifying the explosion was. The third prince was injured. Everyone was shocked. The royal elders also exclaimed in surprise. On the other hand, the 8th prince was cheering. From the looks of it, it wouldn't be long before they could eliminate the third prince and eliminate him. The third prince gritted his teeth and his expression was extremely ferocious. Damn it! Damn it! How could the opponent use such a terrifying method? Even he was injured. If it were not for the flood dragon's scissors protecting him, the explosion just now would have eliminated him. Thinking of this, he swallowed a pill and used a secret technique to recover his body. At the same time, he summoned the surrounding demonic beasts to protect him. Looking at the current situation, his strength had been greatly reduced. It was unlikely that he could kill the 8th prince again. Therefore, the third prince wanted to retreat. However, how could the 8th prince and the others let the third prince leave? This was a perfect opportunity. If they missed this opportunity, there would not be a next time. Therefore, the 8th prince and the others launched a fierce attack and attacked the third prince crazily. Lin Xian was even faster. He used the chaotic Heaven Destroyer sword to the extreme. Every sword chi was extremely terrifying and was even accompanied by a loud dragon roar. Chapter 2171. Almost no one could fight him one-on-one. Even if they surrounded him, Lin Xian could still dodge with his super speed. Damn it, he's too strong! Everyone's face turned ugly. They did not know that this was not Lin Xian's full strength. If Lin Xian used the Great Dragon Sword Soul and activated the Heavenly Secret Divine Eyes, these people would probably go crazy. Boom! Boom! In the end, several powerful figures were sent flying. Lin Xian slashed at the third prince. The third prince's pupils shrank, and he quickly dodged. He was swept by the sword chi and was sent flying. However, the 2 dragons firmly protected him. However, this was not the way to go. Seeing that some of the almighties around him had been pinned down while the rest had been blasted away, there was no one left around him. The third prince's face turned gloomy. He did not expect to face the danger of being eliminated. Thinking of this, he roared angrily. Old 8, do you dare to fight me one-on-one? Hearing this, the surrounding powerful figures sneered. The 8th prince also decisively refused. You are not qualified to fight me. You coward, you don't even dare to fight me one-on-one. How can you be the crown prince? The third prince was furious. His opponent did not fall for his trick, which made him go crazy. If the crown prince wants to fight me one-on-one, I might consider it. But third brother, you are at the end of the road. Do you still want to make a comeback? Brother Lin, do it! Hearing this, Lin Xian held the demonic sword in his hand and strode forward. Damn brat, I won't let you succeed! The third prince roared and launched a fierce attack. Anyway, they had protective talismans and would not really die. Therefore, he had to kill this detestable brat at all costs. The aura of the Tao of Dragon on his body burst out. The third prince crazily activated the flood dragon scissors and attacked. The two dragons roared and turned into demonic beasts that were thousands of feet long. They attacked crazily. The terrifying aura pierced through everything. Feeling this aura, the faces of the elites on the eighth prince's side changed. The third prince's strength was so terrifying. They were too shocked. That was because they had not thought the third prince to be very powerful before. But now, the third prince had unleashed his full strength. This caused them to be extremely shocked. Lin Xian also activated the Great Dragon Sword Soul and used the Chaotic Heaven Destroyer Sword to quickly slash forward. The sword technique was incomparably horrifying, slicing the entire void apart. The boundless sword light was like the stars in the sky, exploding everything in front of it. The third prince's expression changed. He could feel the threat of death from Lin Xian's sword chi, which made him shudder with fear. However, there were terrifying sword chi all around him. It was like a cage that firmly locked onto him. He had no way of escaping at all. Boom! Boom! The third prince could only activate the flood dragon scissors and resist madly. He shattered some of the sword chi, but even more sword chi came at him. The primal chaos heaven destroyer sword was indeed a heaven tier cultivation technique. It was extremely terrifying. Coupled with an offensive saint art like the great dragon sword spirit, Lin Xian's sword aura was like a divine sword from beyond the heavens. It was abnormally terrifying. Clang! Clang! The third prince's yellow flood dragon scissors were beaten back again and again, and more cracks appeared on them. They could split open at any time. However, it was still a top-tier treasure after all. It could hold on for a while, but the third prince's situation was getting more and more dangerous. Roar! The third prince roared angrily. His eyes were bloodshot, and killing intent surged from his body. It was all because of this detestable kid in front of him that he was about to be eliminated. If he was eliminated, then he would completely lose his position as the crown prince, and he would never be able to take it back. Thinking of this, he roared at the sky, and his black hair danced wildly. At this moment, he was like a killing god, staring at Lin Xian. Kid, I want you dead. The third prince took out another golden treasure box. The box was the size of 2 palms, and it was golden all over. It was as bright as the sun, and it shone brightly. There were dragons carved on it, and one could tell at a glance that it was no ordinary item. This is... The royal elders in the Grand Imperial Hall were also shocked when they saw the golden treasure box. Could it be that thing? The third prince was too bold. How could he bring that thing with him? What was he trying to do? Many of the royal elders' expressions changed because they had already guessed what was inside the golden treasure box. Even the Empress and His Majesty frowned. In the battle, the third prince's expression was ferocious. Kid, this is between you and me. You can go to hell for me. As he spoke, he quickly opened the golden treasure box. Suddenly, the sky was filled with red light, and the entire sky was dyed red. A monstrous murderous aura swept out in all directions. Everyone trembled, and even the elites were no exception. What is this thing that contains such a murderous aura? Damn it, this is the blood essence of the royal family. At the back, the third prince exclaimed. Be careful, don't get hurt by that thing. This is the blood essence left behind by a supreme expert of the royal family. 1 drop is enough to kill a top-tier mighty. If there are a few more drops, it won't be a problem to kill a supreme expert. So terrifying. When the other elites heard this, their scalps went numb, and they quickly retreated. No one dared to get close to the third prince. Heavens, one drop of blood could kill them. This is too terrifying. This must be the blood left behind by a supreme expert. Even Lin Xian frowned. He didn't expect the third prince to have such a treasure. Thinking of this, his face turned gloomy. He felt that he had to get rid of the third prince quickly. Otherwise, the third prince might cause trouble again. After thinking about it, Lin Xian didn't plan to use the Tianji Divine Eyes. If he used the Tianji Divine Eyes, he could destroy the third prince's soul, but he couldn't kill the third prince. Unless he really destroyed the third prince's soul, the third prince would definitely recognize his eye technique when his soul recovered. It was the legendary Tianji Divine Eyes. At that time, he would be mercilessly hunted down by the entire Tai dynasty. After all, this thing was more precious than any rare treasure. It was enough to make a supreme dynasty go crazy. Thinking of this, Lin Xian gritted his teeth and decided to use the second killing move of the Chaotic Heaven Destroyer sword at all costs. In the next moment, the great dragon sword soul in his body circulated wildly. Chaotic Heaven Destroyer sword, Demon Seal! He swung his sword, and a terrifying sword she slashed out. The third prince felt that his life was not in danger, and he frantically took out the drop of blood from the golden box. Buzz! The drop of blood was crystal clear, but it contained supreme energy and terrifying killing intent. The moment it appeared, the entire void shattered. Countless cracks spread out for thousands of miles, unable to withstand the power at all. Boom! 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 The two attacks collided, and the entire void was torn apart in an instant. In front of him, the bright chaotic sword she collided with it, and then it shattered. This was a heaven-class cultivation technique. It shattered in an instant. One could imagine how terrifying the power contained in this drop of blood was. However, although the demon sealing sword she shattered, the energy in the drop of blood was mostly depleted. The murderous aura on it was not as fierce as before. However, it still charged toward Lin Xian. Chapter 2172. Everyone's hearts were in their throats. They wanted to know if Lin Xian could withstand it. Lin Xian focused his gaze and a bright light burst out from his eyes. Then, he used his second killer move. Chaotic Heaven Destroyer Sword, War Song! A sword chi that was even more terrifying than the previous ones slashed out and sliced the blood in half. The terrifying sword essence on top of it frantically destroyed the energy inside. Boom! At the same time, the entire sky was split apart. What? It was sliced apart. The third prince's pupils shrank when he saw this. He did not expect that his last killer move would be broken apart by his opponent. He could not believe it. In the next moment, he was sent flying by the sword chi and vomited blood. Crack, crack, crack. More than half of the third prince's bones were broken, and the golden box in his hand was also sliced apart. However, he did not teleport out. Seeing this, Lin Xian roared and the sword soul in his body circulated wildly. Then, a dragon-shaped sword chi was slashed out by him. Roar! When the sword slashed out, there was a loud dragon roar in the surroundings and countless lightning bolts seemed to fall from the sky. No! You can't kill me! The third prince roared crazily. This sword was even more terrifying than the previous one. He did not expect that his opponent's combat power would be so strong. He could not withstand it at all. He wanted to escape, but he could not. In the next moment, he was drowned by the sword chi. No! Seeing this scene, many Almighties cried out in alarm. Their faces were ashen and filled with despair. This was because they could feel that this sword was too terrifying. Even if the third prince was not injured, he would not be able to withstand it. Now that the third prince was seriously injured, he would not be able to withstand it. If the third prince was eliminated, then all of them would be eliminated. In this way, they would not be able to receive the baptism of the Imperial Dragon bloodline. In front of them, the violent energy continued to flood the area. The surrounding people could not see it clearly. However, Everyone's eyes were extremely solemn, regardless of whether it was the third prince or the eighth prince. Buzz, buzz, buzz. However, at this moment, all the almighties on the third prince's side shone brightly. A terrifying spatial energy quickly formed on their bodies. What is this? These people's faces changed, but the eighth prince's face was filled with ecstasy. We won, we won! The Nether King, Taoist Long, and the others gasped when they heard this. Their eyes shone brightly. They were too excited. This meant that the third prince had been eliminated, and the remaining powerhouses would also be teleported out. Sure enough, in the next moment, these powerful beings were enveloped by a mysterious force. They tore through the void and disappeared. In front of him, the energy vortex also gradually disappeared before dispersing. The void in front of him quickly healed, and the third prince was nowhere to be seen. Seeing this scene, the eighth prince's side cheered. Inside the Grand Imperial Hall, the royal elders were all extremely shocked. They never thought that the third prince would actually lose. How could this be? The elders who supported the third prince all had ugly expressions on their faces as they gnashed their teeth. Those who supported the eighth prince were very excited. Inside the imperial palace, there was another hall. There was a huge formation there. It was very mysterious. The array suddenly flickered, and then a figure appeared. This person was the third prince. As soon as he appeared, he roared furiously at the sky, as if he had gone mad. Damn it! Damn it! Damn it! The third prince gritted his teeth. His eyes were red, and the murderous aura on his body pierced through the void. Lin Xian, how dare you eliminate me? I will definitely kill you. I will tear you into pieces. The third prince roared crazily. However, no matter how much he roared, he could not change the fact that he had been eliminated. The news of the third prince's appearance swept out like a gust of wind. When the other princes heard about it, they were all extremely shocked and could not believe it. To be honest, if the second prince, the sixth prince, and the seventh prince were eliminated, they would not be shocked. They would not be too shocked. After all, these princes were ordinary and would be eliminated sooner or later. However, the first to be eliminated was the third prince. The third prince was one of the three strongest princes. His strength was extremely terrifying. He was the most popular prince in the battle for the position of crown prince. He had a high chance of becoming the crown prince. However, such a person had been eliminated. How could they not be shocked? When they found out that it was the eighth prince who eliminated the third prince, they all fell silent. This was because the eighth prince was also one of the three strongest princes. Now that he had defeated the third prince, it could be said that he was extremely powerful. Perhaps only the first prince could fight against him. After the first prince received the news, his face turned gloomy, and he snorted coldly. This eighth prince was able to defeat the third prince. This is really surprising. However, if he wants to deal with me, he is still too weak. The first prince could not let his guard down. I feel that the reason why the eighth prince was able to defeat the third prince was related to Lin Xian. After all, he had just obtained a unique treasure. Perhaps it was the unique treasure that played a role. Yes, that's right. I think so too. After the first prince said that, the surrounding experts nodded their heads. The first prince's eyes flickered. Then he said, "Where is the Golden Lion King? Let him come back. We will meet him." Lin Xian had already met up with the eighth prince. It would be dangerous for him to go alone. Moreover, calculating the time, it was almost time for the final battle to begin. Let's eliminate the other princes first. Next, the first prince started to act. He did not specifically look for the eighth prince. Instead, he pushed his way through. He eliminated all the princes that he encountered along the way. The eighth prince had the same plan. He also pushed his way through. Soon, the weaker princes were eliminated. In the end, only the first prince, the eighth prince, and the stronger fourth prince, the ninth prince, and the 15th prince were left. Among them, the 9th prince and the 15th prince joined forces to fight against the first prince. On the other side, the 8th prince and the 4th prince met. Ninth Prince, 15th Prince, you two should obediently admit defeat. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. Humph, you want us to admit defeat? Sure, show us your strength and defeat us. Otherwise, it's impossible for us to surrender with just a few words. The ninth prince snorted coldly. The 15th prince also had a serious expression. The kings around them all looked as if they were facing a great enemy. You're courting death. Since you want to fight me, I won't hold back. The first prince sneered. Then, a giant dragon appeared on his body. Go, kill them! The first prince shouted coldly. The kings around him also started to move. At the same time, a golden figure descended from the sky. He was like a god of war. His aura suppressed the surroundings. Not good, it's the Golden Lion King. Quickly stop him. The ninth prince and the 15th prince roared. They knew how terrifying the Golden Lion King was. They could not let him get close. Otherwise, they would be in danger. Chapter 2173. Boom! A fierce battle broke out. However, the first prince's side was too strong. In addition to the Golden Lion King, the ninth prince and the 15th prince were eliminated in the end. Eighth prince, you're the only one left. The first prince sneered. Then, he waved his hand and led his men to set off again. On the other side, the fourth prince and the eighth prince met and fought fiercely. Among them, Jian Shisan stood out. He looked at Lin Xian without saying a word. However, the sword intent on his body was getting more and more terrifying. The aura he emitted was far stronger than before. Obviously, Jian Shisan had also obtained a great opportunity during this period of time and improved his strength. Lin Xian naturally knew what Jian Shisan meant. Therefore, he also took a step forward and sword chi surged on his body. Then, he used the chaotic Heaven Destroyer sword and fought with Jian Shisan. What a terrifying sword technique! Jian Shisan and Lin Xian exchanged more than 10 moves and were defeated. His arms were trembling slightly because his opponent's sword technique was too terrifying. He didn't use this sword technique in the first stage. Could it be that he obtained it in some ruins? Jian Shisan was extremely shocked. Jian Shisan was defeated, and soon, the fourth prince was defeated as well. It couldn't be helped. Although the fourth prince was powerful, he was still lacking when compared to the third prince. Since the third prince was eliminated, the fourth prince would definitely not be able to hold on for long. Therefore, the fourth prince and the kings around him were all teleported out. In the royal palace, the fourth prince and the others appeared. They also sighed, knowing that they had no chance to compete for the position of crown prince this time. Let's go. The fourth prince tidied his clothes and said, Let's go and see if the first prince or the eighth prince won this time. Although he lost, the fourth prince wasn't too depressed. Because he knew from the beginning that his chances of winning the position of crown prince were less than 10%. Therefore, in the second stage, he led his men to search for all kinds of ruins and obtain the treasures inside to increase his strength. He had done his best to do what he should do. Therefore, there was no need to be disappointed now. Right now, he wanted to go and watch the final battle. Not only him, all the princes went to the Grand Imperial Palace. Those powerful beings also followed one after another. They were still in the camp of their respective princes, so they naturally had the opportunity to watch the final battle. In an instant, the Grand Imperial Hall became extremely lively. Everyone was discussing who the final victor was. Humph, was there even a need to think? It had to be the first prince. With the strength of the Crown Prince's lineup, as well as the Golden Lion King, who could be the Crown Prince's opponent? No matter how strong the eighth prince was, it was impossible for him to compete with the eldest prince. That's right, the final victor would definitely be the first prince. Many old men spoke bold words. It was obvious that they supported the first prince. Hearing this, the corners of the Empress's mouth curled up slightly, revealing a smile. However, some people didn't think so. Not necessarily, the eighth prince was not to be underestimated. Moreover, he still had Lin Xian. That kid had obtained a lot of rare treasures. I'm sure you've all seen the previous battle. Lin Xian's battle prowess is incomparably terrifying. He's definitely at the top. There would definitely be no problem for him to compete with the Golden Lion King. Yes, there would be no problem for him to compete with the Golden Lion King. However, do you think the 8th prince would be able to compete with the first prince among the remaining people? Someone sneered. In short, everyone was discussing intensely. However, at this moment, someone exclaimed, "Look, they've met!" Hearing this, everyone shut their mouths. Their eyes widened as they looked at the screen. They discovered that the first prince and the 8th prince had indeed met. The two sides were facing each other in the air, and the void was directly shattered. Seeing this scene, everyone took a deep breath. Their expressions were incomparably solemn. The blood in their bodies was about to boil because this was the final battle. The 8th prince and the first prince had met. The 8th prince was incomparably solemn. The King Almighties behind him also looked as if they were facing a great enemy. After all, the first prince was the strongest prince. He had many trump cards in his hands, and he also had the Golden Lion King. It could be said that his strength was incomparably terrifying. Old 8, I didn't expect that the one who would fight with me in the end would be you. The first prince looked over and said coldly. However, against me, you have no chance of winning. If you don't want to lose too much, I advise you to obediently take your people and admit defeat. Otherwise, when I make my move, you won't have a good ending. Humph! The 8th prince coldly snorted. It wasn't certain who would win or lose. Since they had already reached the final step, how could he admit defeat at this moment? You're courting death. Seeing that the 8th prince still wanted to resist, the first prince sneered. The King Almighties behind him also emitted a terrifying aura. At the same time, in the sky, a golden figure descended. Boom! A terrifying aura pressed down in all directions. The Golden Lion King! Seeing this golden figure, the 8th prince's side sucked in a breath of cold air. The moment the Golden Lion King descended, he didn't care about anyone else. His eyes were fixed on Lin Xian. Kid, hand over the heavenly treasure. Otherwise, die. Humph! Lin Xian snorted and took a step forward. His body emitted a biting cold aura. You want the heavenly treasure in my hands? Sure, but you have to defeat me. The heavenly treasure is yours. You're courting death. The Golden Lion King's face sank. A sharp light flashed in his eyes. Then, a strange rune appeared between his eyebrows. The power of his bloodline immediately surged. That rune was very dazzling and incomparably mysterious. It made people feel dizzy just by looking at it. The chi and blood in the Golden Lion King's body was like a furnace, emitting a terrifying light. Rays of rainbow light shot into the sky, stirring up the wind and clouds. Boom! A terrifying aura erupted, causing everyone's expression to change. Especially the 8th prince's side. Everyone looked as if they were facing a great enemy. There was nothing they could do. The aura emitted by the Golden Lion King was too terrifying. It made them feel suffocated. Was this the power of the war tribe's bloodline? It was too terrifying. That's right. He was only a 6-star king, but he already had the battle strength of a peak almighty. If he entered the realm of Almighty, wouldn't he be heaven-defying? Everyone was shocked. After the Golden Lion King used his bloodline power, his aura became extremely sharp. His gaze was like a golden divine sword, piercing through the void. At this moment, he didn't seem like a human. Instead, he seemed like a high and mighty war god, looking down on the common people. Humph! Lin Xian snorted. Since you want to fight, I'll fulfill your wish. As his voice fell, a terrifying light surged from his body. The great dragon sword soul in his body erupted. A majestic sword aura shot into the sky. Buzz! With a slash, the primal chaos destroyer sword soul's power erupted. It was incomparably terrifying, like a heavenly sword descending. Chapter 2174. Buzz. With a slash, the primal Chaos Heaven Destroyer sword was unleashed. Mixed with the power of the great dragon sword soul, it was incomparably terrifying. Boom! The Golden Lion King clenched his fist, and the bloodline power in his body surged crazily. Then, he punched out. When the two collided, shocking energy exploded, and the surrounding space quickly collapsed. An extremely powerful energy storm formed between the two of them. Not good. Retreat. When the surrounding King Almighties saw this scene, their expressions changed. They frantically retreated, and instantly retreated a few thousand miles. Even the first prince and the eighth prince quickly retreated. Soon the space where they were originally standing turned into countless cracks, and then collapsed. Not only that, the cracks were still spreading. Soon it spread from 1,000 miles to 10,000 miles. The entire space within 10,000 miles was completely shattered. The violent energy swallowed Lin Xian and the Golden Lion King. It was too terrifying. Everyone looked at the scene in front of them with fear. Even the elders in the Grand Imperial Hall felt their scalps go numb. This was just a casual attack from the two young men, and it caused such a terrifying scene. If the two of them attacked with their full strength, how terrifying would it be? They didn't dare to imagine. Those princes were also silent. Especially the third prince, he was so angry that he was gnashing his teeth. Right now, his killing intent towards Lin Xian could be said to be monstrous. However, now that he saw how powerful Lin Xian was and how he could actually fight the Golden Lion King head-on, he was even more furious. The first prince's expression was grave and somewhat cold. He didn't expect Lin Xian to be able to fight the Golden Lion King. It was really out of his expectations. However, in the next moment, he sneered. He didn't have the Golden Lion King, but his side was still very strong. However, on the eighth prince's side, without Lin Xian, his strength would probably be greatly reduced. Therefore, in the next moment, his gaze was like a knife as he stared at the eighth prince. Old Eight, follow me to the other side to fight. Humph! The eighth prince snorted and flew away with Taoist Long and the other kings. After flying for 30,000 miles, they stopped. It couldn't be helped. If they wanted to fight, they couldn't rely on Lin Xian and the Golden Lion King to get too close. Otherwise, they would be affected. Let the two young geniuses fight. The first prince also followed behind and stopped. He laughed coldly and said, Old Eight, let me see if you have made any progress during this period. You will see, the eighth prince said in a deep voice. A dragon-shaped phantom appeared on his body. Then, with a cold shout, he attacked. Boom! Boom! Terrifying energy erupted as the eighth prince and the third prince finally clashed. Everyone in the Grand Imperial Hall was astonished when they saw the dazzling lights dancing on the screen and Wu Ji's divine ability. However, they actually wanted to see the battle between the Golden Lion King and Xian. But now, the first prince and the eighth prince were more than 30,000 miles away from Lin Xian and the others, so the light screen couldn't show them. They could only wait patiently. However, at this moment, a very powerful elder of the royal family said in a deep voice. Perhaps the key to this battle was to see who would emerge victorious between Lin Xian and the Golden Lion King. Hearing this, everyone was shocked. Could it be that the two young men were already able to affect the entire battle? However, after thinking about it, it was indeed so. Thinking of this, they couldn't help but become excited. On the other side, Lin Xian and the Golden Lion King clashed, causing the sky to collapse and the earth to split. Then, the two of them stopped again and each stood on one side. The Golden Lion King's body shone brightly like a god of war. He retracted his fist with a cold expression. Kid, hand over the Heavenly Emperor's treasure obediently. Otherwise, your end will be very miserable. I've said it before. If you defeat me, the treasure will be yours. Lin Xian replied in a deep voice. All right, I'll let you see the ultimate skill of my war tribe today. As soon as he finished speaking, the aura on his body became violent again. He was like an immemorial beast. He recovered quickly. Burning Sun Fist. The Golden Lion King's arms danced, and the power of his bloodline spread out. A violent aura swept through the world. Each fist was incomparably terrifying, like a sun blooming in the sky. This fist technique of mine is a set of ultimate skills of the war tribe. Under the power of my bloodline, it's incomparably terrifying. No one below the realm of supreme beings can resist it. You are no exception. The Golden Lion King transformed into a ball of fiery red sun as it charged towards Lin Xian at high speed. Is that so? What war tribe? It's just a legend. I was able to injure you last time, and I can do the same this time. Lin Xian pulled out the 9 Nether Demon sword, and a terrifying killing intent bloomed from his body. In the next moment, he used the Primal Chaos Heaven Destroyer sword and faced the attack. Boom! Soon, the two of them met in the air. The golden fist and the sharp sword technique collided once again. The sky fell and the earth cracked. Nothing could withstand this power. Lin Xian also frowned because he felt that the other party's power had become stronger again. It was even more violent than before. It was as if thousands of mountains were pressing down on his sword, making his demon sword incomparably heavy. Do you feel it? This is my true power. Do you think you can contend against it? The Golden Lion King's handsome face revealed a trace of malevolence. Then, he attacked again. Burning heaven and earth. The golden fist burned fiercely and turned into 2 golden suns. It attacked again and forced Lin Xian to retreat. The Golden Lion King walked over with large strides, creating countless cracks in the void. With every step, the aura on his body condensed. The power of bloodline turned into strange demonic runes one after another, appearing on his body. In the dark, there seemed to be an incomparably terrifying battle intent that was awakening and erupting. You injured me last time because I was careless. This time, I will use all of my bloodline power. I will let you know how terrifying the war tribe is. It's not something you can imagine. The golden rune between the Golden Lion King's eyebrows flickered. The power of bloodline in his body quickly circulated. His fist transformed into thousands of suns, crushing the void and enveloping Lin Xian. Each sun was incomparably terrifying. They burned fiercely and could instantly kill an elite supreme expert. Perhaps even a peak supreme expert wouldn't be able to withstand it. Lin Xian's expression was grave. He didn't expect this Golden Lion King to be more terrifying and powerful than he imagined. As expected of the legendary genius of the war tribe. It was absolutely heaven-defying. This was the most terrifying enemy he had encountered so far. In the next moment, he would use the Primal Chaos Heaven Destroyer sword. A terrifying sword light would surge out and slash apart the sun-like phantoms one after another. However, when the sun phantoms exploded, the energy formed caused a terrifying impact to him. Fortunately, his physique had been refined by the immemorial demonic blood and far surpassed before. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to withstand it. Kid, I didn't expect you to be more powerful than before. Interesting indeed. However, you are not my opponent at all. Chapter 2175. The Golden Lion King was surprised to see that Lin Xian was able to block the golden suns in the sky. He realized that Lin Xian's strength was indeed stronger than the last time they met. But so what? He had fully activated his bloodline power. He could even kill a god. Limitless heaven and earth. The Golden Lion King's fist technique became extremely berserk again. Terrifying golden fists appeared in the sky. Then, they formed a golden ocean and rolled over. The void collapsed in an instant. There was nothing that could withstand it at all. At this moment, Lin Xian felt a great sense of danger. Even the King Almighties who were fighting tens of thousands of miles away trembled as fear rose in their hearts. They subconsciously turned their heads and looked at the sky tens of thousands of miles away. There, golden light flickered. It was impossible to see clearly. However, the aura it emitted seemed to be able to devour heaven and earth. Lin Xian also felt threatened. He didn't dare to be careless. He covered himself with the black battle armor and summoned the Ice Guardian. Then, Lin Xian used the primal chaos heaven destroyer sword and attacked. Demon seal. Terrifying sword chi was unleashed. It seemed to be able to seal the heaven and earth. Therefore, the golden waves that the Golden Lion King shot out gradually dimmed under the influence of Demon Seal. It seemed like they would disappear at any time. What was going on? Why did the golden light in the distance suddenly dim? The kings 30,000 miles away were extremely confused. The Golden Lion King also frowned. He could feel a mysterious power weakening his strength. Boom! In the next moment, the golden light in the sky disappeared completely. It was completely sealed. What was this? The Golden Lion King frowned. A trace of coldness appeared in his eyes. The burning sky-scorching sun fist was his war tribe's ultimate skill. It was extremely violent and terrifying. No one could resist it, let alone seal it. But now, the berserk power he had unleashed had inexplicably disappeared. He was unable to believe it. However, before he could react, Lin Xian charged at him once again. Seeing this scene, the Golden Lion King's face darkened. Not only did he fail to injure Lin Xian, but his attack was also destroyed. This made him furious. One must know that he was the Golden Lion King. He was a genius of the war tribe. He had never placed anyone in his eyes. But now, Lin Xian was provoking him again and again. He even successfully suppressed him. This made him so angry that his lungs were about to explode. Damn brat! Go to hell! The Golden Lion King roared. The golden light in his body suddenly burst out and engulfed the surroundings. At the same time, 2 balls of golden flames appeared on his fists. Instantly, the spiritual chi within a radius of 10,000 miles surged towards him and entered the 2 balls of flames in his hands. The 2 balls of flames became even more resplendent, as if they were the flames of the gods. Boom! The void directly collapsed, unable to withstand this power at all. Soon after, the Golden Lion King formed a seal with both of its hands, and the 2 golden flames began to fuse together. Suddenly, an even more terrifying aura burst out. Not only that, but the golden flame also began to transform into a golden divine tree that was burning fiercely. Above the golden birth god tree, clusters of golden phantoms appeared like suns. Sun God's palm. With a wave of his palm, the sky was filled with flames. It was as if a real sun had descended to the mortal world. That terrifying aura directly shattered the mountain peak below. Large swathes of the forest burned and turned into ashes. In the Golden Lion King's hand, the golden flames turned into 9 golden crows. They spread their wings and flew towards Lin Xian. Soon after, they grew in size and turned into 300-meter-long demonic beasts. They were incomparably terrifying. Lin Xian roared. The dragon sword domain quickly appeared and turned into 2 true dragons. They circled around his hands. In the next moment, he grabbed the void and pulled with force. Ka! The entire void was like a piece of cloth. It was torn in half from the middle. A huge black crack flew out from Lin Xian's fingertip and spread forward. The sky seemed to have really been split open. The violent spatial energy spread out in all directions. It even charged towards the Golden Lion King. This was a very terrifying method. It was equivalent to Lin Xian withstanding the terrifying spatial energy. However, countless sword chi rose from his body and destroyed the power of space. However, the 9 golden crows in front were fiercely attacked. The first 3 golden crows were instantly torn in half by the spatial energy. They turned into countless flames and fell into the dark void. However, this was an absolute art after all. In addition to the power of the Golden Lion King's bloodline, it was incomparably terrifying and burned fiercely. The 6 golden crows behind directly shattered the void and attacked again. They fought against the spatial crack. In the end, they disappeared into the void together. Spatial energy? The Golden Lion King frowned. He didn't expect the other party to have grasped this spatial energy. This spatial energy was very difficult to grasp. As far as he knew, only the Gu family of the East had grasped it. He didn't expect the other party to have it. However, In the next moment, the corner of his mouth curled up into a cold smile. Brat, don't think that you can threaten me just because you have grasped the spatial energy. You are too naive. I will let you know the true power of my war tribe. The Golden Lion King's mouth curled up into a sinister smile. The golden light in his eyes bloomed even more. The golden rune between his brows became even more resplendent. In the next moment, he stretched out his hands and pulled with force. Crack! 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 Instantly, the void in front of him was torn apart. A huge black crack spread out. That scene was exactly the same as Lin Xian's. It was as if it was copied. In the sky, two incomparably dark spatial cracks were spread out. Everyone within 100,000 miles could see it. At this moment, not to mention the 8th prince and the 1st prince, even the people in the Grand Imperial Hall could see it through the screen. They were extremely terrified. What kind of ability did the two of them use? How could they tear apart such a terrifying space? Heavens, this couldn't be spatial energy, right? Otherwise, ordinary energy wouldn't be able to tear apart such a terrifying void. That's right. Only an invincible king could create such a spatial crack. Other than spatial energy, I can't think of anything else. The two of them actually know how to use spatial energy. How is this possible? Everyone was stunned. They couldn't understand it at all. Lin Xian furrowed his brows as well. When he saw that the other party was doing the exact same thing as him and creating a scene, he immediately frowned. What's going on? Why does it feel so familiar? Lin Xian coldly snorted. He formed a seal with both hands. The Hell's Ice Lotus flew out from his hands and rushed forward. Useless brat. The Golden Lion King's mouth curled up into a sinister smile. The power of his bloodline bloomed even more. He also formed a seal. Soon after, a golden lotus flew out and enlarged. It was like a golden mountain as it rotated in the empty palace. The aura it emitted was incomparably terrifying. Chapter 2176. A golden lotus quickly flew out and enlarged. It was like a golden mountain as it rotated in the illusory palace. The aura it emitted was extremely terrifying. Boom! 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 The two lotuses collided in the air and formed a terrifying storm. Then, they were extinguished together. It was the same attack again. Lin Xian frowned even more. In the next moment, the demon's slaying sword formation appeared under his feet. An immemorial shadow soared into the sky. The black shadow carried a violent power as it charged towards the Golden Lion King. The Golden Lion King sneered in disdain. At this moment, he was like a god of war that controlled the world. Countless golden patterns spread under his feet and turned into golden flames. They condensed into a golden illusory shadow. It was like an immemorial demon god that emitted a desolate aura. It really looked like a golden immemorial demon beast that had awakened. Boom! Boom! Another shocking collision. Then, the two completely disappeared in the void. Lin Xian, on the other hand, was completely stunned. He was too familiar with this method. No matter what the other party used, he could simulate it. This was a divine ability that came with his great dragon sword soul. How did the other party know how to use it? Lin Xian was too surprised. It could even be said that he was extremely shocked. Because he didn't expect the Golden Lion King's move to be so similar to his. But how was this possible? The reason why he could do it was because he had the great dragon sword soul. It could simulate everything. How did the other party do it? Why was it able to simulate the move he used? Could it be that the other party also had a similar divine ability or treasure? Lin Xian didn't know, but he was extremely shocked. Rosalong, hey Tu, do you know the origin of the war tribe? Lin Xian asked through voice transmission. However, Rosalong and Hey Tu shook their heads. The war tribe was prosperous about 100,000 years ago. However, it gradually declined. 10,000 years ago, it completely disappeared. When I was there, the war tribe had already disappeared. And Hong said? He too also said that when I was there, the war tribe was very low-key. Therefore, I couldn't find anything. Lin Xian's frown deepened when he heard the voice transmission. Even He too and the Crimson Dragon didn't know about what happened 100,000 years ago, so how could he know? However, he guessed that the war race was definitely not that simple. Seeing Lin Xian's astonished expression and frowning appearance, the Golden Lion King smiled. How is it, brat? Are you very astonished? It's no wonder you're surprised. I can use all the martial skills and divine abilities you use. Therefore, in front of me, you have no chance of winning. A confident smile appeared on the Golden Lion King's face. He looked at Lin Xian with pity in his eyes. I admit that you can be considered a genius, surpassing most people. But unfortunately you met me. The war race is not something you can imagine. The war clan's foundation also far surpasses your understanding. Therefore, they had to obediently hand over the heavenly treasure. I'll give you a quick death. Otherwise, you will experience what it means to be in despair, to live a life worse than death. Hearing the Golden Lion King's words, Lin Xian regained his senses and coldly snorted. Although he didn't know what method the Golden Lion King used to imitate his divine abilities, he still dared to challenge the war race. However, the other party actually dared to compete with him in this aspect. He was really courting death. The great dragon Sword Soul wasn't someone to be trifled with. As long as Lin Xian used his full strength, it would definitely be terrifying. Therefore, the other party was truly courting death. Humph. This is your method? The divine ability of your war race? In my opinion, it's only SOSO. Lin Xian coldly snorted. Only SOSO? Brat, don't boast. I can use all the divine abilities you know. Moreover, under the power of my bloodline, they're definitely stronger than yours. What can you use to defeat me? Even stronger than mine? You're too confident, too naive. You can give it a try and see if it's stronger than mine. Lin Xian disdainfully snorted. He would let the other party know what was called the Great Dragon Sword Soul, unparalleled in the world. Since you're courting death, I'll grant you your wish. The Golden Lion King's face sank. Since the other party didn't know the difference between life and death, there was no need for him to hold back. On the other side, Lin Xian's palms formed seals again. The black hellfire and the blue sea god's eyes quickly merged in front of him. However, this time, it wasn't a simple fusion. Lin Xian poured the power of the great dragon's sword soul into it. The Hell's Ice Lotus was formed. On the surface of the lotus, dragon patterns appeared, emitting a terrifying aura. This power was several times stronger than before. Lin Xian waved his arm and the Hell's Ice Lotus flew out. It's useless. I've already learned this move. You're not my opponent at all. Seeing Lin Xian using the Hell's Ice Lotus, the Golden Lion King sneered in disdain. He quickly formed seals with his palms and the power of his bloodline surged. A golden lotus rose into the air and flew out quickly. Boom! In the next moment, the two collided in the air and a terrifying energy swept out. Humph! Although it's just an imitation, my bloodline power is definitely far stronger than yours. This time, you won't be able to block it at all. The Golden Lion King stood behind with a cold gaze. However, in the next moment, he was stunned. Even his pupils shrank abruptly. Damn it! How is this possible? He was extremely shocked because he felt that the Hell's Ice Lotus he formed was quickly shattering into pieces. The other party's Hell's Ice Lotus was coming at him with a terrifying aura. Boom! In an instant, it arrived in front of him. How is this possible? He was extremely shocked and didn't dare to believe it. How did the other party's power increase again? In fact, it even surpassed the power of his bloodline. What's going on? He couldn't understand. However, he didn't have time to think about it. The Hell's Ice Lotus in front of him had already enveloped him. If this energy exploded, it would definitely threaten his life. Therefore, in the next moment, the Golden Lion King roared and his speed exploded to the limit. He turned into a stream of light and disappeared in an instant. At the same time, he waved his fists and used the fearless lion's seal. The terrifying seal was infused with his bloodline power. It was as if a real demon king had awakened. In an instant, he collided with the Hell's Ice Lotus in front of him. Only then did he block the Hell's Ice Lotus. However, he was still affected by this energy and kept retreating. The golden flames on his body were extinguished by quite a bit. Damn it! What's going on? His divine ability was even more powerful than before. The Golden Lion King retreated to the back with an incomparably cold expression. Previously, he had tested the other party's power. It was the same as when he didn't use his bloodline power. Now that he used his bloodline power, his combat power had increased by several times. It would definitely not be a problem to kill the other party. Even if he used the same move, he would still be able to defeat the other party. However, the situation now was beyond his expectations. Both parties used the same move, but his move was broken. In other words, the other party's divine ability was more powerful than his. However, how is this possible? Chapter 2177. He was a genius of the war tribe and possessed an incomparably terrifying bloodline power. He was born for battle. His battle prowess had reached the pinnacle of the younger generation. How could his opponent be stronger than him? He did not believe it. Why? Are you surprised? Is it out of your expectations? On the other side, Lin Xian stepped in the air and walked over. He revealed a trace of ridicule. Who do you think you are to be able to control everything? Do you think the war tribe is really as powerful as the legends say? In my opinion, it's only SOSO. At least, you can't control me. Damn it, I don't believe it. The Golden Lion King roared. Brat, I don't know what secret technique you used to stimulate your body's potential. That's why your battle prowess is multiplied. But thinking about it, this secret technique can't last for too long. It can't be compared to my bloodline power at all. Ignorant. The war tribe was strong, but they were not the strongest. Otherwise, they wouldn't have declined. Lin Xian's expression was cold. Do you still think that your war tribe is at its peak? You're courting death. My war tribe just doesn't want to come out. Now I'll let you know how powerful I am. The Golden Lion King was really angry. His opponent actually dared to look down on him and look down on the war tribe? This was something that the arrogant Golden Lion King could not tolerate. Hence, in the next moment, he roared and the golden flames on his body jumped. He instantly turned into a huge golden giant and roared towards the sky. Then, a golden flame longsword appeared in the golden giant's hand. It turned into a golden dragon and roared in the sky. Brat, die for me! The Golden Lion King roared and swung his arm down. The golden flame longsword also slashed down. This move was Lin Xian's ultimate move, Fire God's Roar. At this moment, it was used by the Golden Lion King, and its power was terrifying. Humph! Let me show you what the real Fire God's Roar is. Lin Xian coldly snorted and the hellfire on his body quickly spread. Then, a black giant was quickly formed. Roar! The black giant roared towards the sky and let out waves of dragon roars. The surrounding mountains instantly shattered and a terrifying black hole appeared in the sky. Lightning fell from the sky. This energy fluctuation was felt by everyone within a radius of 100,000 miles. Instantly, the 8th prince and 1st prince's people raised their heads in shock. In the next moment, their pupils shrank. That was because they saw two towering giants tens of thousands of miles away. They stood there as if they could reach the heavens. One was like a god of war in gold, while the other was like a demon king in darkness. Even though they were tens of thousands of miles away, they could still feel the terrifying aura. Some of the weaker ones even began to tremble uncontrollably. This was too shocking. They were all powerful geniuses. Yet, they were all trembling under such pressure. What kind of strength was this? They couldn't believe it. The people in the Grand Imperial Hall saw the two giant figures standing in the distance through the light screen. Then, they all sucked in a cold breath. When they saw the black giant let out a furious roar and shatter the sky, they were even more astonished. This black giant was so strong. This was Lin Xian's giant, one of his ultimate moves. He had seen it before. Many people were discussing this matter. On the other hand, the elders who supported the first prince had gloomy expressions. What was going on? It was obvious that the golden giant's aura had been suppressed. But how was this possible? Could it be that the Golden Lion King couldn't defeat the other party? When this thought came out, they were all stunned. How was this possible? The Golden Lion King was a genius of the war tribe. He was born for battle. How could there be someone he couldn't defeat? Unless it was a supreme expert, they didn't dare to believe that there was someone who could suppress the Golden Lion King. The Golden Lion King's expression was gloomy. He felt the aura of a dragon from the other party and was instantly shocked. What was going on? Why was there the aura of a dragon? Who was the other party? Could it be someone from the royal family? The dragon's roar. He immediately thought of the royal family. Only the royal family had the aura of a dragon and could let out a dragon's roar. However, Lin Xian wasn't from the royal family. Then why? Could it be because of his cultivation technique? The Golden Lion King's expression was gloomy. He didn't expect the other party's cultivation technique to be related to dragons. So what? Even if it was related, it wasn't a real dragon. I don't believe that you can suppress me. The Golden Lion King was also furious. There was a hint of madness in his cold eyes. In the next moment, the rune on his forehead flickered even more. The power of his bloodline was unleashed to the extreme. Mysterious runes revolved around him like divine runes. They were incomparably mysterious. Even the surroundings were filled with an ancient voice. His voice was very low, and it shook people's souls. Buzz! When this scene appeared, the golden flames on the surface of his body suddenly blossomed. It was like a huge sun, extremely dazzling. The Golden Lion King's aura rose again. As expected. As expected of a genius of the war tribe. Seeing this scene, everyone started to discuss. The Crown Prince heaved a sigh of relief. That's right. How could the Golden Lion King be suppressed? That brat dared to fight with the Golden Lion King. He would definitely be killed. It could even increase his strength? It was indeed powerful. Lin Xian was also shocked. He had to admit that the Golden Lion King was indeed a difficult opponent. Its strength was incomparably terrifying. However, it was a pity that it met him. In the next moment, Lin Xian directly activated the Great Dragon Sword Soul. Another loud dragon's roar rang out, shattering the clouds in all directions. In the next moment, the black giant clenched his fists. Countless black flames danced and turned into a huge flaming sword. However, the huge flaming sword was too shocking. It wasn't a sword at all. It was a dragon. A huge black flaming dragon was held in the hands of the black giant. The dragon's head roared towards the sky, looking extremely ferocious. Roar! On it, even the dragon's runes could be clearly seen. Buzz! The sword slashed down, causing the heavens to collapse and the earth to split. The terrifying black dragon sword was incomparably terrifying. It directly slashed forward, wanting to split the Golden Lion King into pieces. Die for me! On the other side, the Golden Lion King also roared. He controlled the golden giant and also swung the huge flaming sword. In the next moment, the two giants attacked at the same time. Two terrifying huge swords collided in the air. Boom! Boom! This attack was extremely terrifying. It really had the aura of destruction. An extremely terrifying sword wave spread out in all directions with the two as the center. Everywhere it passed, mountains, forests, and rivers collapsed. Countless cracks appeared on the ground, extending for tens of thousands of miles. Buzz! Tens of thousands of miles away, the eighth prince, the crown prince, and the others who were fighting felt a terrifying surge of energy, causing them to have no choice but to retreat. At this moment, they simply stopped fighting and retreated to the distance to watch the battle. Because this battle was too shocking, they couldn't help but pay attention. Chapter 2178. The experts and elders in the Grand Imperial Hall widened their eyes as they stared at the screen. Clang! Under everyone's nervous gazes, an earth-shattering sound could be heard. The huge golden flaming sword was split in half. Whoosh! The broken half fell to the ground and immediately turned into a sea of golden flames that spread in all directions. The raging flames burned fiercely, but the golden giant roared in anger. In the next moment, it was split in half by the black dragon's sword. What? It was split in half. How was this possible? Everyone went crazy. On the first prince's side, the elite experts and elders all widened their eyes in disbelief. The Golden Lion King's golden giant was split in half. The Golden Lion King's pupils shrank in disbelief. His opponent actually broke his attack. How was this possible? How could his opponent be stronger than him? He couldn't believe it. He roared crazily and wanted to block it. However, he realized that the huge black dragon sword was already slashing down rapidly. It would soon engulf him. Ah! Get lost! The Golden Lion King unleashed a terrifying attack. A golden armor appeared on his body and covered his entire body, only revealing a pair of cold eyes. Boom! In the next moment, the long sword slashed down. It was earth-shattering. Mountains and rivers were shattered. A terrifying wave of energy turned into a rolling light pillar that rushed into the 9 heavens. It was as if the world was about to be destroyed. The earth cracked and the void collapsed. The surrounding mountains cracked and formed huge rifts. Everyone's eyelids twitched as they stared into the distance. They wanted to know how the Golden Lion King was doing. When the black dragon sword shadow disappeared, everyone became nervous. They didn't know how the Golden Lion King was doing. Damn brat, I'm going to kill you! However, at this moment, a cold voice came from the remnant energy. This voice was filled with killing intent and didn't contain any emotions. Hearing this voice, the first prince and the others heaved a sigh of relief. They knew that this was the Golden Lion King's voice. This meant that the Golden Lion King shouldn't have suffered much damage. Bang! In the next moment, the void was torn apart, and the Golden Lion King stepped out. His long golden hair danced wildly in the wind, and his handsome face seemed to have been carved by a knife. However, there was a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth, which was exceptionally eye-catching. Not only that, when they looked down, everyone was stunned. The exquisite golden battle armor on the Golden Lion King was now filled with cracks, as if it would shatter at any moment. Not only that, but the area in front of his body caved in. There was an obvious sword mark that slashed it open. This could no longer be considered a golden armor, because large amounts of blood had dyed it red. He was injured. The Golden Lion King was actually heavily injured. Everyone was extremely shocked, not daring to believe it. On the other hand, the Golden Lion King's expression was ice-cold. The rune between its eyebrows shone even brighter. Even though Zhang Xian's face was pale, the killing intent he exuded was far sharper than before. Brat, if you dare to hurt me, I'll make you pay back tenfold. The Golden Lion King was truly enraged. He simply couldn't understand why his opponent's might was so much greater than his when they used the same martial skill. This was too illogical. One must know that the Golden Lion King had grasped a kind of divine ability. Only by combining it with the power of his bloodline would he be able to imitate other people's martial skills. Furthermore, under the effect of his bloodline, the might he imitated would far surpass his opponent's. This kind of divine ability could not only defeat his opponent's hand, but it could also shatter his opponent's confidence and martial heart. But now, the divine ability that he was so proud of had actually failed. On the opposite side, Lin Xian sneered. Why? Are you surprised? This is just an appetizer. Next, I'll give you a surprise. Damn it, could it be that this brat still has some trump cards? The Golden Lion King frowned. However, in the next moment, he was stunned. He had an expression as if he had seen a ghost. Because he discovered that Lin Xian's palms were rapidly forming seals. A ferocious and terrifying aura was rapidly emitted from the imprint. Damn it, how is this possible? How can he use it? The Golden Lion King was truly stunned. Damn it, I don't believe it. The Golden Lion King seemed to have received a huge blow. He went crazy. Damn it, how can he use the seal of the Fearless Lion? Impossible. Fake. This must be fake. This brat is trying to confuse me. The Golden Lion King roared, trying to stabilize his emotions. However, Lin Xian sneered. Fake? Is that so? Then look at this. As he spoke, he waved his palm. The seal of the Fearless Lion was unleashed. A golden lion appeared in the air and roared towards the sky. It was extremely terrifying. Damn it! Impossible! I don't believe it! The Golden Lion King had truly gone crazy. The other party was actually able to use his divine ability. This was too unexpected. This divine ability was his battle tribe's ultimate skill. Others simply couldn't use it. However, how could the other party use it? Damn it, could it be that this brat also knows how to imitate other people's divine ability? But how is this possible? The Golden Lion King was truly stunned. The reason why he could imitate other people's divine ability was because of his battle tribe's bloodline power. Without the bloodline power of the battle tribe, others simply couldn't use it. This was definitely not the seal of the Fearless Lion. Brat, do you think that just by imitating the shape of a lion, it's the seal of the Fearless Lion? You simply can't unleash its power and essence. The Golden Lion King roared and quickly formed seals with his palm. He also unleashed the seal of the Fearless Lion. In his opinion, Lin Xian must be trying to confuse and deceive him. That's why he used the seal of the Fearless Lion. He guessed that the other party's seal only had the shape of a lion. It didn't have the power and essence of the seal of the Fearless Lion. If that was the case, then it was nothing. Because it couldn't threaten him at all. Therefore, he also used the seal of the Fearless Lion and quickly unleashed it. He wanted to shatter the other party's lion. In the sky, the two golden figures collided again and tore apart. However, very soon, the Golden Lion King screamed again. Because he realized that the seal of the Fearless Lion he unleashed was broken by the other party. Damn it! How is this possible? The other party not only had the same shape as him, the power was even stronger than the original version he unleashed. How is this possible? How could the other party use their battle tribe's divine ability? Furthermore, the power was even stronger than his. The Golden Lion King was truly going crazy. Damn brat, how did you do it? Who exactly are you? The Golden Lion King gritted his teeth. How did you do it? Naturally, I did it the same way. Lin Xian sneered. Impossible, I don't believe it. The Golden Lion King roared crazily. I can only do this because I have the battle tribe's bloodline. You're not a member of the battle tribe. It's even more impossible for you to have the battle tribe's bloodline. How did you do it? You're tuning into the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.